All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Town Hall. We got a few interviews tonight before we start the regular session at 7:30. First up, we got Liz Karp, looking to be reappointed to the planning board. Liz, come on up.
Good evening.
Good
I'm
evening.
Liz Karp.
First off, thank you for your service, and also, thank you for your willingness to continue on. This is a good opportunity for us to just hear about, from your perspective, what's going on at the planning board. You guys handle a lot of matters, a lot of important matters. A lot of things that are on our priority list as a council run through your board before it can get to us. So, go ahead. Tell us about what's going on.
All right. First of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity to interview for reappointment. It's been a wonderful experience. The group of people, as you know, on the planning board are so committed to this town and making sure that development continues in a very orderly and appropriate fashion. So it's been wonderful, and I've enjoyed it a lot. I don't know if you all know, I am an architect. I've been an architect for many, many years, and I find that experience has really helped me on the planning board with a focus on development that's appropriate in scale and with appropriate details, because as you know, we don't actually get to comment on the aesthetics of a building, but we do have the opportunity to suggest how an applicant proceeds. So I feel that has really helped me on the board. The things that I have been particularly involved in on the board, I was on the Main Street Facade Committee, and as I live right off of Main Street on Pond Street, and the improvements as a result of that committee are really nice. They're small, but they've really enhanced a number of the buildings on Main Street. So that's been great. I was also on the Landscape Subcommittee for the Planning Board. I'm also involved in, as you know, the old Tower Hill Road study that continues on, and you'll be hearing more about that, I'm sure, in the near future. Let's see, what else? The 3 schools that have been vacant for a long time, that's something that was a high priority. We've also recently reviewed the progress on the new high school, which is coming along, as well as the cottage design guidelines. But I'd have to say that from my standpoint, really the 2 most important things that the planning board is focused on right now is housing. Housing and housing and housing. And both affordable housing, the missing middle, new housing that's appropriate for our town, and that seems to be really the key focus in what we're doing. But the second one is the old Tower Hill Road study and the improvement and enhancement of that area. As you enter South Kingstown, that of course is not, in my opinion, is not up to the same design standards as the rest of the town. It's important, certainly, because it's the center of a lot of our commercial development, but we've seen through the consultants ways to do both of those things: continue the development and the investment in that area, and then at the same time bring that area more consistent with the rest of South Kingstown. So I think that's pretty much it. I'm happy to take any questions that you guys might have.
Thank you, Liz. Any questions from members?
Yeah, just about, as you know, the council's top priority, one of the top 5 priorities is the missing middle, that sort of thing. And so one of the things that gives me pause and some degree of concern is talking a lot about it's sort of like the details. So I'm concerned while, it's like accessorizing an outfit, sometimes you can't always have the little finials or the nice little things at first, but maybe you can add those in the future. And so I just want to make sure that what we're putting out is actually something that's going to be feasible for us. And so I guess just in thinking about how we develop these 3 properties, I just wonder if what your thoughts are on producing sort of like a scope of work that would be acceptable or possible, I guess. I just don't want to, I'm just concerned about that. So.
You're speaking primarily about housing and,
Yes.
and the missing middle?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just roughly give you an example. We've had several applicants come before the planning board recently. The one that comes to mind was a very, very large multifamily building. And when I say details, I'm not talking about the moldings on the top and the trim around the windows. I'm talking more about the appropriate scale for our town in the specific area where where a building is proposed. And even though I think housing is so critical throughout the state, but very much so here, I don't think that we want to approve projects that aren't appropriate in terms of mass and scale and image. I think that's the main thing for our town, because we'll look back on these and we'll say, why did we approve? How short-sighted and how rushed we were to approve these just to get more housing. And I believe as an architect you can accomplish more than just stuffing a box. You can make the box really beautiful too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Anything else?
A few good things that have occurred as of recent from the planning board. You got the high school project through planning, as you mentioned. The rental registry ordinance that got through with a favorable advisory opinion. We feel that's helpful. We appreciate that. We know that the planning board feels good about a potential project in West Kingston, out where the former Schneider building was. So we're positive. We're on the same page as far as some of those things. We just want to continue down the same alignment. As you mentioned, some of our goals are housing. That's top 5. It's up there, top 1, top 2. Getting Old Tower Hill mixed-use zoning in place. Getting that ordinance, having a public hearing, passing that. That's another priority, top 5. So we just hope that the planning board can continue to align with the council. Recently, it's been in tandem, which we appreciate. And we just hope that can be the case going forward.
I hope so as well.
Ms. Karp, thank you so much for serving on the planning board. It's for the general public, this job on the planning board, this volunteer position is much more intense than you would expect. And so I just want to thank you for your time, and your vision as an architect is crucial to helping South Kingstown move forward in a way that we won't regret and is beneficial for all the residents. And I just want to echo my colleagues that the number 1 priority for us is affordable housing, and that whole blanket. And I want to encourage you and the planning board to continue to work cohesively with us. This is our main priority, and when you have concerns, come to us right away. If you have ideas, come to us right away, and we will really try to run with those ideas, because the people of South Kingstown deserve that housing. And I'm glad you made the points of affordable housing and workforce housing and the missing middle, and keep up the good work. But yeah, continue to work collaboratively with us, and we'll get this done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. All right, next up we have Lindsay Madam, looking to be reappointed to the Library Board of Trustees. Lindsay, welcome. I just want to press that button on your right there.
Is that
Similar
good?
introduction here. Thank you for your service and your willingness to want to continue on. It's a great opportunity to just tell us what's going on at the Library Board of Trustees, some successes, some challenges. Fill us in what's going on.
There's a lot going on with the library right now, maybe not as much as the planning board, but the biggest thing is the community learning center that we're building. And it's been a 3-4, maybe longer project. It's moving along really well. Our director is amazing and has gotten the grants and the money from the pandemic relief. And we're in process to get it all started with 3 focuses on workforce, education, and healthcare. And so, one of the reasons I would really like to be reappointed is that I'd like to see it through. It's been a very long process, and we have a huge portion of our agenda every week that we talk about it. And it's really getting up and running now, so that's exciting. The second thing is I don't have any background with libraries. I'm actually I'm a physician. I'm OBGYN trained. When we moved to Rhode Island, probably 8 years ago now, had been in Rhode Island, left, and then came back. So I've been here about 8 years now, and when I came back to Rhode Island, I actually stopped working, so I kind of consider myself a retired OBGYN at this point. Related to my family and all these things. So it's been really nice to be a part of something in the community and in the town. The library really drew me in because I grew up with libraries. And I feel like on the board, I am the youngest by probably 15, 20 years maybe. So I think I have a different perspective coming in, which I think is valued. And I can just I have kids in the school system and all these things, so, yeah.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Any questions from members?
One of the things that really excites me about the library project is the community paramedic room, and then there's a telemedicine room. Could you tell us a little bit about that, if you know it? I'm not sure what you know about it, or...
Well, I think a lot of it is all in development. We're just starting to have small groups of people come and talk about each of the individual 3 kind of subject headlines that we're trying to work with. They're required by the pandemic relief to have all 3 of those included in the program and the build. So I know that idea, so a lot of things have been thrown out there, but nothing's really fully decided. The plan is kind of hoping to have an EMT center there where people can come in and they can get their blood pressure taken. It's not really like a sick visit type of situation like an ER. I think it would be more of a primary care, health focused. We've talked a little bit about mental health. There's a lot of angles we're trying to use. But yeah, the paramedics and the EMT, I think, in some way are definitely going to be a part of that. That was actually spoken about even as we were kind of rolling in with ideas 2 years ago.
So I would really like to voice my support for that, because I'm very concerned about people losing medical coverage, and I'm concerned about what's going to happen to our local providers who rely on Medicaid for their funding sources. And so the idea of having this space where people could handle very basic things like having their blood pressure taken, or have somebody look at a wound, or just something simple, I think that is going to be it's going to be really appreciated as we move forward here in time. So I'm very happy about that. So
I totally agree with you. Yeah, I can bring that back to the board for sure.
Thank you for serving on the library board. One of the things that, as an adult, I found so fascinating and crucial about libraries is the programmatic side of it. How many folks in different organizations come to our libraries and teach free lessons to children, to adults, and I just want to give our libraries and you and the team an A+ on the way that you put these out every month, and it's full to the brim, and people will use them. So thank you for that work, and really appreciate your time serving for the town of South Kingstown.
Thank you. I think most of that credit needs to go to the staff. They're amazing and creative. And I think when COVID hit, everything kind of shut down, and they've built up almost to where we were before, so yeah, they do an amazing job there.
Thank you, staff. Great work.
All right, Lindsay, one last question, sort of unrelated. Patty, go ahead.
Okay, so we have an ongoing debate here about babies. And so anecdotally, it seems to us that we're having a baby boom because, well, we have Rory here. And then everywhere I go, I'm surrounded by babies. Like the people that moved in across the street have 3 babies. So do you think that we're in the middle of a baby boom?
I don't know. That's a lot of babies living next door to you.
Yeah, we have a lot of I have a lot of babies, and we all sort of feel.
Well, sometimes when you're around them, maybe you see them more. I don't know. I couldn't really speak. I don't think it's a baby boom like we've had in the past, like the baby boomers. But I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know if I have a professional opinion on that.
That's okay. I sort of always ask anybody that's an OBGYN about babies, so I had to continue that.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. All right. We got about 4 minutes recess until we begin the meeting at 7:30. All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to get things started here. Today is Monday, July 14th. It is just after 7:30 p.m. The first order of business, as always, the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the land acknowledgement statement. The town of South Kingstown pays homage to the indigenous people and land on which the town is now located. Let this acknowledgement serve as a reminder of our ongoing efforts to recognize, honor, reconcile, and partner with the Narragansett tribe whose land and water we benefit from today. Next, we have the roll call.
Council President McEntee.
Here.
Councilmember Bergner. Here. Councilmember Alley.
Here.
Councilmember Wedgemont.
Here.
It is noted that Council Vice President Marin is absent.
All right, it's going to move us to item 4, approval of minutes of previous meetings.
Motion to approve items 4A, B, and C.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes. It's going to move us to item 5, the consent agenda.
Motion to approve item 5A and 5B.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes. We do not have any licenses tonight. It's going to move us to item 7, Town Manager's Report. Jim Manning, go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. First item is the bi-monthly update on the School Building Committee and School Facilities Project. Representing left field tonight is Kate Turner. We have Mark Moore here from Gilbane. Kate Massinati is the chair of the School Building Committee, and Phil Conti also is here. So they would come up now and give you a briefing, and you can ask any questions you'd like.
Is there a handout or anything that you're handing us tonight?
Not on paper, but we have the report and the presentation that was sent digitally.
Okay. Is that attached to the agenda?
Is it?
No, not yet.
Can you
I
print
think
it
was
out
emailed.
so we can
Sure
distribute it
can.
amongst ourselves?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Manny, do you want to go on to the other parts of the business while I get this printed, or do we want?
Sure.
Do you still want me to share screen and go through it now?
You can share the screen. I'm mostly asking always because people at home want to follow along, and
Yes.
the way that the cameras alternate, sometimes you can't see what people are talking about, or you only see what people are talking about. You don't see the person who's speaking. So I'm just trying to make sure, was it given out in time so that the public could access it from a link, or is it just in our email?
Let's have you print it so we can look at it as you go through the presentation. In the meantime, we're going to move to the other Town Manager Report items.
The second item is an update on the Saugatucket Road culvert, and we have Rich Bourbonnais here, the Director of Public Services, that'll give a brief briefing on this.
Good evening. This is in regard to the culvert on Saugatucket Road. If you remember, back in September, we approved GZA to perform some engineering work. The goal here was to widen the road because in that S-turn between Broad Rock and Rose Hill, it gets very, very narrow, 18 feet. And also to get the road out of the floodplain because during significant rain events, there can be up to 2 feet of water going over the top of the road. GZA, through the winter, has performed all the environmental survey. They performed the site survey. They got all the topography, everything we needed, flagged all the wetlands, all of that, located all the wetlands. And then they began the hydrologic and the hydraulic study for this. And early on, well, at least a few months ago, they were quickly determining that it was going to be a lot more than just adding another culvert or widening it out, just or raising it up. It was a little bit more than that, or even enlarging the culverts. There was just a lot of water coming over the road, a lot more than was originally anticipated. So they sort of stopped, which I appreciate. We sat down, we talked about it. They ran through the options. One was a bridge. We could put a bridge in. It would have been 35 feet across, and which I'm not interested in, very, very expensive, long-term maintenance. The other were to provide additional culverts, a few more than what we were even thinking, larger, or even a box culvert, which is a single, it's effectively a bridge, but it comes in as one piece. It's a box, or one or few pieces, but it's a box culvert. It's a box goes over the top, and usually there's an earthen portion, an earth underneath. It's great for habitat. So what I asked was that they go back and they look at, because now we have to really talk about costs, because we're talking about more cost than we anticipated. And so I asked them to go back, and they looked at adding culverts using a boxes, but a few of them, as many as we needed to get this out of the floodplain or do the best we can. They were even thinking originally that perhaps we were still going to have a few inches of a few inches of water going over this roadway, even with this improvement, and look at a single box culvert. So they've done that. And I wanted to bring that here now to update the council and just let it be clear that we are talking about more money than we thought, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but this is the track we're going on. And I think what I'd like to recommend to them, and what I'm hoping to sort of build a consensus on, is that I want to look at doing the 5-box culvert system. That would provide us, and they were able to get it out of the floodplain. The reason for the increases, it requires, and you'll notice in what I provided in that memo, there was a line item there for a flood wall, and it's basically an earthen berm that runs along the stretch toward the west. And it's just a much bigger cost than we had originally. We didn't know that was going to be the case. We thought it was a matter of just raising the whole road. It really doesn't work that way. We don't want to impound water on the backside. You've got a home there. So there's a lot of things they're looking at. When they do their study, it's very, very intensive. It includes just every bit of possible information, because they want to be clear that the solution is going to be a good one. So I just want to bring all that up. Now our funding, the way it lays, and I'll wrap up with this, but our funding, the way it lays, is that we received a grant from the Infrastructure Bank for $85,000 to do this work, and with a match, and the work is in around that $120,000 for the design work. We received an additional $750,000, which requires a match, but that was the maximum we could get, and we were fortunate enough to get that. But we anticipated about a $1.45 million project here. So we are over on what we thought, but what we're going to do on our end is just continue to try to find those dollars, and I believe that it may work out. We'll try. I can't promise anything, but we'll do everything we can to try to find those dollars, I think. But we're looking at a $2 million project versus that $1.5 million project. So I'll leave it at that, and I'd open it to questions, but please.
When you say we're going to try to find those dollars, what do you mean?
Well, we'll go back to the infrastructure banks and see if we can work with them some more. And there are DEM on our behalf has just prepared a grant application that would provide us additional funding, and we'll see where that goes. And so, there is money out there. These are resiliency dollars, and there is money out there, and so it's just a matter of trying to track it down.
Okay. And
we'll use everything we can to find it if we can.
how optimistic are you that you might find some additional funding?
I'm day to day, I'm not optimistic about a whole lot sometimes,
Yeah.
but I am. I'll tell you this though. I can't say which way it's going to go, but I will tell you that this is a little bit of a pet project. I've been involved in this site since I got here in 2018 when it was first designed, and it was going to be simply widened, and it wasn't going to be what we needed. And so I'm looking to get this built. So we'll do everything we can to do that. I can't promise anyway, one way or another. Promise is a strong word, but I know what you mean.
I never expect a promise. I'm just trying to understand how you would solve the problem. And if you couldn't find grant funds or additional funds, do we have reserve funds that we could shift over?
On my end, not enough.
Okay,
Because we've done extensive amount of paving over the past couple of years, and
yeah,
at the direction of the council, we have kind of got that to a point where it's I think a modest fund for the types of infrastructure that my department manages and oversees, and that we're all looking over. So I would say that we do not have the funds there, but maybe it comes down to a multi-year funding type thing. We do something like that, or we'll have to come here with a request when that comes up.
well, I'll cross my fingers that the
Thank
grants
you.
get filled. Thank you.
Go ahead.
So, Rich, our existing culvert right now is not an open bottom culvert, is that correct?
No, it is not. It is they're circular, and there are 2 5-foot culverts there.
And so, the proposal is that the grade would go up probably 3 feet from 31 to 34, and then you would open up the bottom for an open so more water can flow through the culvert, is that correct?
Well, an open bottom, I prefer often because it does provide better habitat crossing. But generally, it works a little easier through permitting that way.
Sure.
But it is, the culverts we're suggesting in this are actually a complete culvert. It's just that it gets a soil treatment after the fact.
And so this floodplain that we have now, if we did do this proposal, we would be sending more water downstream towards the estuary, and those estuaries would be able to take more water, volume. Is that what we're seeing here?
Well, no.
I just
no.
don't want
And the
to
way
take.
the model-
I don't want to take the problem from Saugatucket, move it downriver. You know what I
Right,
mean?
and we're cautious of that, and that's part of what they model. So they're always looking at downstream and upstream impacts. So the goal here, and it'll be reviewed at the state level, it's going to be a critical review. They're going to be very careful with this, but we have to be cautious that we do not change anything for the most part, and we cannot cause downstream or upstream changes or make changes.
Thanks.
In terms of a grant, I just wanted to make note that tomorrow, the governor will be here as part of the Road Restore Municipal Grant Program. And so this is occurring tomorrow because we've received $184,000 in funding from this particular program. So maybe tomorrow would be a good time to mention to the governor that we have this other issue, because timing really is everything.
Yeah.
So, and it looks like a
And we
pretty
can-
good, solid program, so they have a nice website anyway.
I'd like to think that the funds from that particular program continue, and we'll see. We've been very fortunate. We received $184,000 this year. We received $560 last year. So hopefully that will continue.
Well, we'll have to hope so, yeah. Thank you.
Rich, in terms of timing, some of these grant applications, it could take a while for any turnaround and the potential funding if it gets approved. We're already looking at, we expected 1.5, now it's a little more work or something a little different than we anticipated. Now it's likely above 2. How are we looking at in terms of when would this potentially start? Would it be like, if we're going to do multi-year type phases in the funding, would we start putting this into the CIP? How would this look and work?
Well, if it were multi-year, that's what we would have to do. And it would be, within my program, I would assume, but we would have to look at multi-year. That squeezes us on the grant that we've been given, the $750,000. We really need to be moving on that, and that was dedicated to construction. So I have to talk with the infrastructure bank and work out some of those finer points.
So there's a deadline as far as when that monies need to be expended and used in that certain purpose?
Well,
So
we have a schedule that we've given them.
okay. So we may be limited by that unless we can renegotiate, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
All right, Jim, we got another one here on the launch of the new GIS program.
Yes, that item is in the planning department. So Carol Baker is a 28-year veteran of working for the town. She's in charge of the GIS program. She's retiring August 1st, and Jamie Rabbit's here, and he wanted to profile what GIS does and and where we go from here. So Carol, I'll turn it over to you.
Just give me a second to... So as Jim said, my name is Carol Baker. I'm the GIS administrator for the town for the last 27 plus years. And tonight I really am I was the one that said, Jim, I want to come and show this to you all. So this is all my doing. I need to type in that number.
That's your going away present, Carol.
Excuse me?
That's your going away present, by the way.
It's my going away present to you. So. Okay, well, I guess I have to make a window visible then. Oh, I'm supposed to be sharing the screen. Share screen. You would know that I do GIS for computers for a living. I came up earlier to make sure this worked too. So, there we go. All right. So, the GIS division, and GIS, for those that don't know, stands for Geographic Information System. As I said, we're extremely pleased to announce the launch of this brand new interactive online map viewer system. 2.5 months ago, the town council approved a contract with CAI Technologies to totally revamp our web GIS site. So CAI Technologies is the company, Access GIS is their product. All right, so not to confuse the two. The current web GIS platform that we have has served the town well, but it's almost 15 years old. Technology has grown leaps and bounds. And while it has been a real workhorse, it's time to update stuff. So the new state-of-the-art platform, it provides residents, businesses, the public, and town staff with easy access to all of our map data, as well as linking to other town databases, which is a huge increase in a nice, intuitive, hopefully, modern mapping interface. It maintains all the functionality of the current site, but has so many more new features. And as you will see, it's bigger, better, and much, much faster, which is the biggest complaint of the old site. As I said, it also links to both the CAMA databases from Vision, the assessing data, and also OpenGov permitting system, which is a huge new increase. As I said, it's lightning fast and has more data layers than the last one, including over 25 aerial photo base maps, starting in 1939 to the one that was flown in December 24 and January 2025. So if you want to see what the town looked like before Route 1 was here, you can see it. So, demo, let's just go right there. At the moment, it can be accessed directly from the town's website like it was before. All of the links have been updated. You go to Viewing and Finding, GIS Information, and there it is, Access GIS. I'm used to my screen down in my office is much bigger with so much more resolution. I have much few pixels here to work with. So here it is. The very first thing you see is that there are layers on the left that you can turn layers on and off, and we'll deal with that in a minute. And then a bunch of tools over here. They come in and they come out, very easy. What we really wanted to do is make this easy. 90% of the public that logs on, they want to find their property, they want to know what their assessment is, they want to know what their neighbor's assessment is, they want to see the field card, and they want to see if they're in a flood zone. I mean, these are common things that we get all the time. So, you can, just as before, you can search on a address, and as you see, I typed in 180, it starts populating the different options. And as you keep on going, I'm not going to try to accidentally choose somebody's property that I shouldn't. So we're going to go right here to Town Hall. Click on it, zoom here, and it zooms right into the property. See how fast that is? This is when everyone says, wow. Please feel free. You click on the site, and now you get all of, as I said, if you have a bigger screen, this information comes up a lot faster. But more, here you have all of the assessment data right here in your face, not these little blue tabs. You have the owner, the assessment, this is all, there's over 400 attributes in the Vision Camera database. We're only showing the 15 or 20 that most people want. So that's a beautiful thing, and this is, before, it was updated every 2 to 3 months. Within, hopefully by next week, the Vision database is going to be updated nightly. It's just going to be a script that runs in the background so that the GIS talks to the Vision camera directly. Cool stuff. What I really like about this is that before you had to really dig down through seeing this, right here you can automatically see your Vision field card. It goes right to Vision, and this is Vision, talk to me. Come on, we're talking to Vision. And this gave me an error this morning. Never had that happen. Come on. Oh, I prayed to the demo gods. I really did. Lori, you're blocking access. Anyway, the Vision card, just like it did, comes up as well as the field card. It's right there. It shows you the sewer card. So if you want to see where, and this is the only detailed utility data that's being shown. But often people want to see about their sewer connection. It's right here. You don't have to drill down. Tax assessor map. Boom, there's the tax assessor, the entire plat map. Once again, easy to access. The official zoning map for this plat and grid. A lot of folks don't realize there's 249 of these in the town vault, and these are the official zoning maps of the town of South Kingstown, including with the town clerk seal. So it's all right here. Building photos, which come right off of the Vision card again, and more importantly, and this is when the big wow factor, and the folks in building and zoning are so excited about this, and I don't have my screen illustrate permits, and it brings you right to OpenGov. This shows all of the permits. Emily in the town clerk's office is extremely excited about this because this is going to make responding to a lot of her APRA requests very easy. So she can just say, folks, it's available to you yourself. Here it is. Really excited about that. So I could spend forever, and I know I'm only supposed to have 5 minutes. So real quickly, you can turn the data layers on and off. I'm zooming in and out. Things are scale dependent. If you zoom it all the way out, you don't want to have all the plat and lot numbers. You can turn on flood zones right away, and believe it or not, there's a flood zone across the street on the Saugatucket River. And down at the coast, if you're in an AE zone down near the coast, the coastal one, it'll show your base flood elevation. That will show right up on the map. We have also all sorts of lots of other data that's here. If people on this map itself want to be able to see the detailed meets and bounds and things like that, you can just click on here, and the meets and bounds come right up for the property. From the tax map, over 100,000 pieces of annotation and text on the tax maps. We have information about emergency management, where the evacuation zones are. These are hurricane inundation zones based on FEMA as to where the inundation is based on the category 1, 2, 3, 4 hurricane. We have the evacuation routes and the evacuation routes. And all the zoning information is here. All of the zoning districts, the comprehensive land use data. You see, just turning things on and off. It's very easy. You can even play with the transparency yourself. Ooh, so much fun. Can you see I like my job? But also, what I really like is that there's 8 zoning overlay districts in town, whether or not you know it, including, let's turn the zoning off. Oh, no, the comp plan's on. Including cannabis, where cannabis is allowed, the flood zones, Kingston Historic District, all of these things are right here at people's fingertips. Open space data, voting districts data, click on voting districts, you go out to the whole town, let's turn off. See how quick it is? See how easy it is to turn off layers on and off, to customize this how you want? I must still have the FEMA flood zone. See, here you have the AE14, that's showing you the base flood elevation. I just have to go up here. and turn off the flood zones. So all of this information, as I said, I could go on and on and on. And then over here, you have all sorts of tools, as we did before. You can print maps. There is, oh, wait a second, I forgot the fun stuff. Let's go back to Town Hall. And you can do an abutters and a butters list very easily. Come on. Too many data layers over, Carol. Too many data layers open. The abutters lists, abutters lists are right here. Boom, real quick. If people want to do it for, zoning applications, things like that. If you want to, this is a function we didn't have before. If you want to say, hey, this guy here, they're not in that 500 or the 200, but they're really close and I want to add them to the abutters list, you just go click and it brings it, or you just click the wrong thing and it clears everything. So you can add directly, you can print mailing labels, just like that, and the public can do this. This is all publicly facing. This is all publicly facing. And as I said, since the vision is updated nightly, the ownership information is very up to date. And then one of my favorite things in the whole world is, come on, go away. Thank you. Street view. So this brings you exactly where you are. I don't have a lot of screen real estate here. It thinks we're on George Street. There we are, which is right over there. And you not only can, as you could, you can click down and move down the street, but look what's happening to this cone. It's showing you where you are and what you're looking at. That was never in the old site. And as you turn it, you say, I'm looking down the street. Pretty cool stuff. I know I'm over my time. The system went live last Monday. Town staff has been using it. Town staff has been, we've had 2 training sessions. We have another one tomorrow. It's been very well received. The only thing people have said is, Carol, we needed this 2 years ago. But very excited about that. The icon, Lori Fox has changed the icon. There's a shortcut on all town staff site. It goes to the new site now. The newsflash will go live tomorrow on the town's website so that all the public can see it. If they have a bookmark or something for the old site, if it clicks on it, it does go to the old site, but it's going to say, hey, you don't want to be here, click here, there's a much better site. The old site will be available through the end of the month. The old website and I are retiring on the same day. I like that. It's very fitting. So that's it. I don't know if folks have questions. I think Jamie had a couple of closing comment or two, but any questions?
I'll just say thank you, Carol. This is very useful. I appreciate you walking us through it, kind of giving us a live simulation of how it actually works. I use it in my day-to-day work, so I think this is helpful just to get a demonstration from you. I'll be diving into this for certain aspects of what I do. But I also want to say congratulations on your retirement. Thank you for your work for the town. 27 years, that's a great longevity and commitment to being here, but it was a great way to go out getting this rolled out.
Thank you, and I've really enjoyed my job, so thank you.
And
So I just have,
sorry.
are you going to thank her for her retirement? Because I had a different question. Do you want to, you can, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank you for your service to our town and also tell you that I've heard that you're a legend in the GIS community from my brother, David Dos Reis, who works for the...
David is your brother?
Yeah.
Oh, David and I are he's the GIS manager up in the city of Providence.
Yeah.
We're buddies.
He said that you're awesome. So, yeah.
Well,
anyway,
thank you.
he said hi. And have fun in your retirement.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Patty.
Okay.
I love Rhode Island, such a small world.
It is.
I think this is incredibly helpful. I don't typically use the GIS system at all, but I just was wondering, when you said that you're training the town staff, is there plans to train any of the relevant boards and commission members? Because I feel like maybe this would be helpful, I kind of planning and zoning. I don't know if
That's
this
a
is
good point.
historical
Not
cemeteries. Are there?
necessarily, but first of all, I didn't mention, there are help documents available online, right here.
There are help documents,
There are
yeah.
help documents right here under help. There's both a document, a 32-page document, which is on Google Drive, which IT blocks, so I can't open it, but the public can. And all of these are YouTube videos that have been put together by the company that makes it. But in theory, you know, we really didn't have much training back when the first one came. This is very intuitive.
Mhm.
I'm always available for phone calls from the public, and my position is being filled. We're currently reviewing resumes. There may be a gap for a little bit, but
I just didn't know, and I'm sort of looking at Jamie, maybe when you come to, would this be helpful to our boards and commission, planning, zoning, historic district commission? I see the cemeteries. I mean, I don't know where this is relevant to other boards and commissions and if they need to be trained.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Bergener. From our perspective, we staff a lot of the commissions and boards that will be utilizing this. So as we become more familiar with the system, again, Jay Parker, Brian Wagner, as well as Lynn are all users of this system and site. We feel that we're making a seamless transition within our office. So again, we house affordable housing, we house staff, affordable housing, EDC, Conservation Commission, Historic District. So we'll be available as an asset to all of them. We have time built into our agendas that we'll be able to do small demonstrations as this, and then we're available as a resource. And Carol went through things really quick tonight, but I want to really point out the fact that not only did we have a phenomenal consultant in CAI Technologies, but without Carol in our office, who's, you know, she won't lift her head off the desk unless you refer to her as the map mama. She literally will not for the planners in our office. She specifically asked me to say that because she wasn't going to do this unless I did. From our perspective, again, we're losing a tremendous resource, and Carol's wanted to really state tonight that she feels with this new system, she's left the town in a good place after 27 years. The town council, we're grateful as a department, both in planning and GIS, of your financial support for the system, financial support in the transition to a new hybrid position, along with consulting monies to move forward as this system evolves. And again, it's fortitude with regards to how fast it is amazing from our perspective, because when you're sitting at a desk and you're just watching the little circle and circle and circle and circle, and then after 10 minutes you call Carol and say it's broken, and it's not necessarily us, it may be you or I or our host. Because we're going web-based, it just becomes exponentially faster. It becomes a more prominent tool for us as we move forward. But again, a lot of this wouldn't have been possible in such a quick manner. I think you agreed to sign the contract a little over 2 months ago. And we were able to transition from the old system to the new system because of the work Carol's done over the last 27 years. And I don't think that should go unrecognized. So she'll be a great loss. And she constantly reminds me, after 45 days, she may be available to come back and help us if we need her. So, thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
I realize there's the coolest thing I didn't show you
39s.
is right here. This is where all the base maps are. All I have to do is turn them on here. So this is the 2024 spring aerials. And I find the wireless in here seems to be slow. There we go, it's thinking. And so these are all being served up by the state. These are map services. They're not hosted anywhere. And there they are. And they're pretty fast. And all I have to do is go here, go base map, and these are where they all are. And they go all the way down to 1939. So this is all. You can thank your state tax dollars for all of this work here. So Okay, I'll leave.
Carol, I just wanted to echo my colleagues' congratulations. And you're leaving the town in a better place than when you found it. And that's what public service is all about. So thank you.
You're welcome.
One quick request, if I could. Carol, would you mind, I just want to point out,
Sorry.
there's a disclaimer on the system, and that's the same disclaimer that's on, I think, every GIS system, just to the effect that this is the best information the town has, but it, as you said, it will update maybe nightly, but not instantaneously.
Right, and the parcel boundaries aren't 100%, they're not survey grade.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
we actually have the same disclaimer as from the previous site, and that can easily be changed. One other thing is that the old site was hosted by our contractor, CDM Smith. If we all wanted anything, we had to send it to them. They updated it. This is in our South Kingstown GIS cloud. So now we're editing this directly. We're maintaining it ourselves directly. So it's fabulous. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
All right, Jim, we're going to move back to the update on the school building committee and the school facilities project. Okay, we're good to go. We have the presentations in front of us.
Wonderful. Kate Turner with Left Field. I'm going to share my screen and we can go through the presentation together. All right. Good evening, everybody. We are here for our bi-monthly update on the school construction project for the new South Kingstown High School. We'll today go through some updates on schedule, review some of the key dates that we have, some of those important milestones. We're going to be looking at our enabling site work packages. This is an item that we've been talking about for quite some time. This is the work needed to prepare the high school site for the first day of school, temporary roadways and utility relocations, as well as a preconditions survey that will happen before the start of construction. And then saving the best for last, we'll give a presentation on some of the updated renderings that the architects have done. So moving where we are in our schedule, we're here in mid-July in our construction document phase. To our left is our final approvals for design development. We are still waiting on the final approvals from RIDE. Get into that in a moment. So taking a look at those key dates, that path to early construction. We are here tonight for the approval of the enabling site work contract. Next is going to be the negotiation period for the draft GMP for early work. We're going to be getting bids in shortly for the early packages that include our foundations, our structural steel, our site work, and some of our long lead time equipment. On August 1st, we're going to be submitting our application to the building department for a foundations permit. That is a permit separate from the full building permit, which will be issued at a later date. This will allow the project to move forward with the excavation for foundations. In order to get approval for that foundations permit, we are required to get our final planning board approval. And in order to get that, we need our RIDEM RIPDES permit. So that's another one that's a little bit out of our hands at the moment. Our civil engineer is continuing to check back on the status of that permit. So we are looking to get that back by August 1st in order to keep the rest of the process moving smoothly. On August 7th, we'll be going in front of the building committee for the recommendation for the early GMP, and that is, again, site work, structural steel, foundations, and long lead time items. We'll be looking to come in front of this council again on August 12th. 13th, we'll be giving Gilbane the notice to proceed. And then by the 29th, we are hoping to have RIDEM in hand, have met all of the conditions for our conditional approval for the planning board and get our final planning board approval that's done administratively by 8/29, so that we can have our foundation permit issued to us September 1st. So that's a lot of dates. I apologize. I'll pause for a second, let you guys digest that and ask any questions.
We'll just sort of keep moving through here.
Okay, let's do it. So here's just the visual of that to give you a little bit of a better picture of where we stand. Mid-July, we're town council approval. We'll be getting our bid results for those early packages, including steel, July 23rd. The team will be mobilizing, the construction team will be mobilizing on August 4th for the temporary work at the high school to reroute the temporary road and utilities. August 12th, approval of the bid packages. August 29th is when we are complete with that enabling work, utilities and temporary road, prior to the September 2nd, first day of school. So it is a very busy month of August for that work to be happening. And then the foundations work, as we talked about some of that permitting, that the foundation work is looking to happen at the end of September. Touching briefly on RIDE and the milestones we have for RIDE, we are continuing to have weekly update meetings with them. We've received comments back on our design development package. We're formulating a final response. There was nothing in there that was out of the ordinary or required any kind of extensive rework. It really was just additional paperwork that was requested. We're going to meet with them at the end of the month to review some of the draft GMP and bid data that came in, and then meet with them to review the GMP contract in the beginning of August.
Before you move on, sorry, would you please, my question was exactly going to be about the comments from RIDE, and could we, I know you're saying they're nothing substantial, could we be shared with them?
Absolutely.
Could you share it with the council?
Yeah, I sure can.
I don't know, in the past, and I'm sure this is not the case now, the last time there were comments from RIDE that were shared with the council. Previous project, previous players not here, just like to see what RIDE is asking you to gather.
Sure.
Is that a problem?
Not a problem at all.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to be going into, this is an item that's later on the agenda, but while I have the visuals up, I'll walk you through it. This is the enabling site work. This is the temporary road that we'll be putting in. I'll try and zoom in a little bit here. All right, so this is where we are here on School Street. The red line is going to be our construction fencing. Where you see the dark blue, that is our erosion and sediment control that keeps all of the runoff on our site from spilling out of the construction site. The blue arrows, that is going to be the temporary parent drop-off. That is one of the main scopes of work that we're requesting approval for this evening. With that also comes the relocation of a water line that's currently going through where our new foundation is going to be excavated, as well as the primary power to the building. That is also in the way of the new foundation. So both of those items need to be relocated prior to digging for foundations, and ideally prior to the first day of school, so we're minimizing disruption for power and water shutoffs during school operation. Any question on the scope of what we're looking to do? All right, so we did receive 4 bids for the enabling site work that we just outlined. Our budget from our DD estimate was $427,401. The low bidder that is being recommended for award is J.R. Vinagro Corporation. Their bid came in at $433,326. So we're about $6,000 shy of the DD estimate. A very reassuring sign, all of these bidders are within that right, they're all tight to each other. So that generally means they're all bidding the same scope of work. Yes?
Before we award the bid, have you checked references and done the due diligence
Yes. So what we've done, Gilbane runs a full descope process. So all 4 companies are interviewed essentially. The full scope of work is reviewed to make sure that everything is captured. They have not missed anything. They have not forgotten anything. They've met all of the qualifications and requirements. So they're called scope reviews, but they're essentially interviews with each of these firms. So myself, I was in attendance, as well as the architects, the civil engineer, and obviously the construction manager who was administering those reviews.
Can I just ask, just as a follow-up to that, if something were to go wrong with a subcontractor, would Gilbane be responsible for fixing any resulting issues?
So Gilbane is the construction manager at risk, which means all of these contracts are not being directly awarded by the town. The recommendation is for Gilbane to award this contract. So South Kingstown's contract is with Gilbane. All of these bidders live under Gilbane's contract, under that umbrella of responsibility.
Great, thank you. That makes me happy.
Yes.
Just to follow up to that, so based on the structure here, the subcontractors are not hired by the town, they're hired by Gilbane, which is we've contracted with. So technically, we don't have a say as to who Gilbane can hire or not hire as a subcontractor, but they're working with us so that we're all in tandem in agreement as to who to select for the subcontractors throughout the extent of this project. Is that right?
Part of our contract is that they need to provide a recommendation to award for a vendor. So if the town does not agree with who they are recommending to award, they do not have to move forward with that recommendation. So the town ultimately has the power to say no.
So anytime they subcontract out work related to this project, the school building committee has to have a meeting and give a formal approval and recommendation to move forward with the hiring of that subcontractor. Otherwise, they can't hire.
Correct.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it happened, we're going to be doing it in several buckets. So this is the first bucket, that early GMP, August 12th. We're going to have a lot more of these. This is a very small package we're asking for today. But our next guaranteed maximum price, that's going to be our first construction contract. That's going to have the bidders for the permanent work. You're going to be seeing every single bidder that submitted and every single bidder that's being recommended and the process that we got to that recommendation.
Okay.
All right, moving on, the next recommendation for award is the abutters survey. So this scope of work is to have a visual inspection of homes directly abutting the project site prior to the start of construction. This is to give reassurance to the homeowners as well as to the town what the existing conditions of the abutting properties are in. It will be a review of the site, patios, pools, the exterior of the home, the roof, chimneys, and then on the interior, walls, foundations, to make sure if there's any cracks, any damage, it's documented ahead of time so that if, knock on wood, anything were to happen, there would be photo documentation of the cause.
And the reason behind that was this insurance purposes here?
It's good practice. It's a protection for honestly, for everybody. It protects the homeowners. If there were a claim against damage caused by construction, it protects the town if there was a claim against the town, and it protects the construction manager. So it really is kind of a blanket protection for everybody involved. It's just good practice.
Okay. This is typical of all projects that you've worked on. Just curious of the whole, I guess, policy behind this.
I would say about 50-50 for projects that I've worked on. For anybody that's familiar with East Greenwich, in Cole Middle School, there was property that was damaged. It sure was. And this type of survey that would protect the homeowner and protect the town to be able to really understand the cause of any damage.
Well, I'm trying to understand when you say protect, I'm trying to understand what you're saying there. Like if someone has a crack and you're doing work across the street and that somehow causes some property damage, who is that protecting?
So
Is
if,
that protecting the town from not being subject to a claim?
well, it depends on the source of the damage. If the damage was existing, then it protects the town against a claim that that damage was caused by the project. And if that damage was not existing, then it protects the homeowner to say, this is new damage that was caused by construction. So it's really a protection on both sides.
Right.
The biggest risk for damage we see is vibration. So excavation, soil compaction, that issue in East Greenwich was caused by vibratory compaction. In addition to the survey, you'll see in light green and light blue, there are vibration monitoring set points at the property limits, and that monitors the seismic activity. There's a baseline before construction, and then it monitors seismic activity during construction. So if there's anything above a certain limit, there's a notification sent out as well.
And then anything like over and above some certain metric, work would stop momentarily?
They'd have to reevaluate the cause of going over that set limit and reevaluate how they're doing the work. So it's just extra belt and suspenders to make sure that everybody is protected.
The bids are interesting.
Yes. So this one was not as close, and there is a reason for that. So the estimate that was held for this work was $100,000. We are under that estimate by quite a bit, which is great. There were two bidders for this scope of work, Falvey Associates and TER. So the recommendation from Gilbane is actually for the high bidder. Gilbane has worked with both companies. The high bidder has a much more thorough process that's more appropriate for homeowners. If it were a commercial or an industrial site that didn't have as many nuances, Falvey would be more appropriate, but the more in-depth level of survey that TER can provide is recommended by Gilbane.
All right, before we move on to the renderings, I just want to flesh this out a little further without diving too deep. Amy, I want you to help us on this one here, the legal liability related to this and how doing this survey can help, I guess, minimize any potential liability of the town as it relates to damage of property.
From my perspective, it's a very good idea, and I think one of the questions that always comes up can come up in a context like this is, what did the town do in order to protect and prevent against these issues and mitigate against them? Just getting the survey shows that we're thinking about that at this point, and certainly if the survey weren't obtained now and then a claim arises years later, we would need to do that kind of due diligence, but it would be after the fact. It makes sense from my perspective.
All right, so just a theoretical, and then we're going to move on from this. Someone's got a crack in their roof. We do the survey, we identify the crack, the work begins across the street, the roof caves in. We at least know that we're in part the cause of the damage, but not the total cause of the damage.
I may be misunderstanding the term and the purpose of the survey. I thought it was only a boundary, like a survey to confirm ownership. Was it intended to be a survey of existing conditions?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So then it would be to establish a baseline. And again, I think...
So it limit liability to an extent, not exonerate it.
Correct.
Okay.
If the baseline survey shows that a crack has gotten bigger over time as a result of construction, that wouldn't automatically establish liability. It would help a homeowner potentially make a case, but it would also help the town the other way around if the baseline photo showed no difference from the photo, after construction began.
Understood. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm very familiar with the Cole Middle School litigation, and it's a lot. And if you want to talk after, those property owners spent a lot of time, and their home was damaged. A very expensive home was damaged in East Greenwich because of the Cole Middle School. It was a lot, and that, I think it's money well spent, just for the heartache that, if you think about, like, if we ruin someone's home because we built the new high school, we wouldn't want to be responsible for that. And this is not a lot of money to sort of at least gather the data and protect ourselves. I'll tell you later all about coal, but it's unfortunate that we're going as high as 77, because to me, I'm thinking, there's only 2 bids and the range is so big. Is there any other option? Is he the Gilbane guy?
The one piece that Kate mentioned that I wanted to clarify was the vibration monitoring piece that's also being put in place, right? So in addition to the precondition survey, the real-time vibration monitoring is intended, again, to measure levels and ensure that at the property line they're not exceeded, right? So that is another layer of protection that validates that the work is being constructed within the parameters that are acceptable, so damage is not caused. So there is a nuance to that as well. So there's another layer of protection in addition to the identification of any pre-existing condition. There's also that monitoring piece to ensure that those exceedances don't occur.
Yeah.
And they're documented.
So, well, now you're here. I mean, you are recommending a bid that's 3 times as expensive as the low bid. So I'm just curious. I hear what you're saying about experience. Are there any other options, or are these the only 2 options in the game?
So I've worked with both of these organizations on numerous projects across the state. And in reality, as Kate identified, we use Falvey primarily when properties are surrounded by commercial and industrial type abutters, and we use TER when it's more residential, again, primarily because of the due diligence they do and the documentation they provide at a very high level, because residential properties really require that extra level of
Would you know, and you might not know, but maybe Kate knows, approximately how many abutters would they be surveying? And because it's very dense residential in the backside.
There's about 52. There's about 52 properties approximately.
Yeah, and I feel like, I know Rory, you might not be, maybe you're on board now, but I think it's.
Oh, I was on board the whole time. I just wanted to gain I just wanted to understand it. That's all.
I just feel like if you think about where the high school will be relocated to, it's much more dense in that little section, Brown Street, and all, right in that area by School Street. So I think it's probably wise anyway. It's not like there's acreage around the site. It's really tight there. And we have heard a lot of feedback from homeowners in general, who are very invested in what the project will look like, so makes sense.
Well, right, especially given that you guys are our contractor at risk, so if you're suggesting that we do this, I would assume that it's going to be in everybody's best interest. So I think that's good. I'm happy that you're doing it that way, because I think it's a small amount of extra money to make sure that if we do have excess, I really like the extra part of it too, that if there is excessive vibration, that it would be, sort of caught the day that somebody's house windows are shaking, so I like the immediate feedback loop.
All right.
All right. So moving on to the fun stuff. Again, those 2 items are later on in the agenda for formal approval. But for now, I'll turn it over to Kathy Ellithorpe from SLAM to walk through some of the updated renderings. Much more fun than abutter surveys.
I don't know.
So the design team has continued working on the exterior, the entire building, but today at the exterior we're going to talk about a little bit. So this is the view. I don't think you've seen an entire view, edge to edge, and off to the left-hand side you can catch a little glimpse of the Hazard building, which we are referencing for some of our coloration on the exterior of the building. So as you would be going down School Street, this is the entire facade that you would see from the street. Which button makes me go forward? Just sorry. Thank you. Same view, just a slightly different vantage point. So this is obviously aerials, as if we were a drone flying around. One of the things that's changed a little bit is some of the fenestration on the right side with three-story tower. It had a bit more curtain wall glass to it before. We've pulled that back a little bit, again, in conversation with the cost mitigation strategies that we were putting forward, and we actually were really happy with the way it's turning out. So hopefully you're all as happy as we are. There are actually more trees in front of the building. They come down that grass strip. We've taken them out right now, just so you can actually see the building. The next set of renderings will have those trees and more vegetation that will really be there in place. It'll be sort of half-toned, so you can still see through it. But it will not be that sort of naked from the street as the way it looks right now. And now we've gone around to the back side. This is a little bit more of a view that you would see if you were coming down Columbia Street and then turning in to where students will be dropped off if they're coming by car. So the tower piece that you see there, that's a stair tower. It does have access to the roof so that maintenance people can get to the roof with their tools. We have on the ground, the curved wall. It's a seat wall that defines a seating area. Students that are allowed to could go out there and have either classes or have their lunch outside on that open patio. Again, that's sort of the main entry from the back, straight through the building. And then as you look towards the right-hand side, you can see how the gym steps down as the building goes off to the other side. And then again, a full view, and now you can really see the Hazard Building quite well on the right-hand side in this case, but it gives you more of a full view of what the length and breadth of the building is from the other side and how it steps down to meet the smaller buildings in the neighborhood as we go off to the other side.
This is looking at School Street, correct?
School Street's on the back side of the building now.
Yep.
Yes, so right now, we would be sort of standing on top of the roof of the existing building if it were still there. That was it. Oh, one more. So this gives a little bit more of a view that shows the gymnasium, and the gym is really what you see in the back, that long band of windows up on top. In front of that, at the ground level, is the fitness room. So those are the vertical windows that you see there are the fitness room. And then to the far right is construction technology and the windows and the access point that they have outside there. Any questions?
I do.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that there's going to be more trees, because the more well, and sincerely, the more appropriately placed trees, the cooler the building will be. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the doctrine of urban of architecture, is to build more trees, to have a tree canopy to cool down and use the shade, right?
Absolutely.
And then I have just one more question for Kate, but I'll let my colleagues go if you want to go with Kathy first.
So we did have a much more blue high school, and what color is that? Is it red or is it brown?
No,
or
it's
is
a
it
brown.
maroon?
And so all the colors on the outside now are brown. Getting that blue color, that's your true blue color, on an exterior material has proven to be quite difficult.
Yeah.
With a material that we believe will retain its color.
Exactly.
So we're going to have that blue as more of an accent on the inside, and you will be able to see it in some places through some of the large
glass.
windows.
Yeah.
But we've decided not to try and apply it to the outside because we really believe it'll be problematic long term.
I think so too. And then the glass, you've reduced the glass, it's the opposite side that we're looking at. So I forget what you called it, glass curtain?
It was a curtain wall. It was like a long, expansive glass on that side at one point.
So it's much smaller.
It's smaller, but we're feeling like it's actually more in keeping with the context of the rest of the building at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that area right there is like
That's the learning commons that are right behind
commons.
that, which also gave us some wall space so that when you're on the inside of the learning commons, now we have some wall space to put some tack boards, whiteboards, things that are a little more usable than the glass for students doing breakout sessions.
Right. And are we going to see, has the inside changed at all?
I don't think you've ever actually seen the inside yet. So
Well, we saw,
Oh, floor plans wise, no, yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you meant like visual renderings. We haven't.
no,
We're
we haven't
close
seen
to
inside.
being able to bring you those.
Great.
Floor plan is essentially the same. We've been tweaking little bits of
Yeah.
like closets and things, but yeah.
because I remember when this came up before, we talked about that open to the,
Yep.
that's what I'm just, have you done any adjustments to that, or is that still, that second floor dining hall looking down into open, you're nodding something?
That's still the same.
It's still all open?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep. To the cafeteria, yes.
okay.
Yeah.
And not likely to change?
Not likely to change.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Kate, so real quick, you said that the two real priorities that you have right now in the short term is that we need to get the RIDEM permit, right, by August 1st. And then you're getting the ride approval because you sent the feedback when they had more questions and paperwork, right?
That's correct.
And we have basically 2 weeks until August 1st. We're confident that we're working with DEM to make sure that we get this all done for that time?
We are working as hard as we can. Sam, our civil engineer, Sam Hemingway, has been pinging them through the portal, and the next step is to start calling and hounding them. They are a very busy department that's going through a lot of changes, so we are a little bit at their mercy at the moment, but we have been in constant contact trying to ensure that if there are any questions and any roadblocks in our way, we would make sure we smooth the road for them.
Well, as you said, DEM is this is their busy season, and so if you do need assistance in getting in touch with them, I think Mr. Manny would be able to help you, with that, or our team, because not to sign you up, Mr. Manny, but he's a well-connected person and can help with that. And so with RIDE, just paperwork, you're gonna get back on it.
Yes.
And then my question I've been asking you, we're back on schedule for August 2027, right?
Currently, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's why we have that long list of.
That's right.
We got to keep pushing.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good. That's key here, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
thank you both for your presentation tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right. In light of us just hearing everything involving new business items G, H, I, and J, do we feel comfortable just voting on that now? If there's any questions, we should flesh that out while we have the experts here.
I don't have any problem moving it. However, I just want to be mindful that Mr. Beasley wanted to talk about geothermal, and so I don't want them to leave, and then we'll be like this. So I don't, however it works, I just want to be mindful of that as well.
All right, let's take it up as a block. Do I hear a motion to pass item 9G, H, I, and J?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Okay, it's now going to bring us to public comments. At this point, I invite anyone who wishes to speak on any matter to come on up. Before we get to that, though, I do just want to make one acknowledgement. On behalf of the council, I want to send our condolences to Kate Massinati on the recent passing of her brother, Patrick McMahon, Charlestown police officer. Kate, we're very sorry to hear it. We want to send our condolences to you and your family. We know all the hard work you do for town, and you show up every day, but it's a tough moment, and we're here for you, and we send our condolences. All right, we're now going to do public comment.
Can I just add something to
Go
the
ahead.
town manager's report?
Go ahead.
So Jim and Amy, in light of a memo that we received from your office that I don't want to reference, but you sent on Friday, if we could think, and maybe the council would agree, that we need to do more legal training with each of the boards and commissions, and maybe you could develop either a schedule or notify us when you're going to do. Board members change all the time. People don't always know all the rules and ins and outs, and we haven't necessarily had a fluid process. So I was wondering if we could at least start to organize a brief legal training. It doesn't have to be a lot, but a 15-minute. New members don't know their boundaries or what they need to be doing. Are you following me without me following this memo? So I just think it would make good practice that we have a a routine setup. Maybe your office could look at the boards and commissions and figure out when, over the next 6 months or so, you could at least provide some oversight and training. Does that make sense?
Do you want to make a motion, Counselor?
We don't need a motion. I just think there.
We could just maybe get an update at a subsequent meeting as to your thoughts in response to that, and we could just talk about that a little further.
So you don't want them to have an organized training?
Well, I mean, it's not on the agenda. You're just passing along a memo, and we're discussing it. If we want to discuss it further, it should be added to the agenda.
Correct.
We
It
can't really
doesn't
take
have-
action on it. I've asked that she come back to
We
us at a
can
subsequent
direct
meeting.
the staff to do anything, so I'm just saying. Do you want to have them work to organize?
Yeah, I'd like them to come back with a plan to address it, not just go figure it out. So how about at a subsequent meeting? This will be a topic for discussion. We talk about it. You can tell us a potential plan to train boards and commissions on, aspects of the law that are involved in what they do. Open Meetings Act,
Minutes.
planning and zoning, minutes, whatever it may be.
So moved.
Rational basis as it relates to actions by governments, whatever.
Yep, understood. There's a lot of different types of training mentioned there,
Yep.
substantive and procedural, and Mike will be back at your next meeting, and he can inform the council what he thinks the plan should be after speaking to the town manager.
And maybe in the interim, speaking with the board liaisons, the town staff to say, what training do you do? What training do you think would be useful? I mean, like you said, there's a lot of topics, but the planning board might need A, and historic district might need B, and somebody might need A, B, and C. So I just feel like we should be having a coordinated approach to the boards and commissions training. We benefit from legal always being in our meeting. Some boards and commissions have that, some don't. Just thinking about a process that makes sense and is predictable. Yes?
Yes.
I think, and toward that end, I think that the new GIS system, like that the people on the boards and commissions need to sort of be aware that that resource exists now, because that's going to help to, to provide information very quickly.
Yeah,
So,
that's a different
but
thing,
it's still,
yes.
it's sort of related though,
I hear
you
you.
know?
Mhm.
Okay, so we look forward to hearing about that at a subsequent meeting. All right, we're going to move now to public comments. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak on any matter, I invite you to come on up. We just ask that you introduce yourself. We're going to limit you to 5 minutes. When you begin speaking, that timer will begin counting down. We're going to do 30 minutes of public comment, then we're going to move through new business. We're going to try to move through that rather quickly. Then we'll come back to public comment for anyone who hasn't spoken yet. So with that said, first come, first serve, come on up.
Just a few quick things, hopefully quick. My name is Kai, and just, again, a few quick things. One, the GIS stuff, I wasn't going to talk about it, but real quick, that stuff is awesome. I actually have a friend that used it for his senior project, and he accidentally discovered, this wasn't his project, but he noticed the coastlines of the SK Town Beach were receding, which was interesting. But at any rate, what I was here to actually talk about is if you're familiar with, on High Street here, there's Allen Avenue, there's a three-way intersection there, and sort of on either side, like in that area, there's a bus stop on either side. And I noticed from my experience, I live on Allen Ave during the academic year, and in order to get to school every day, I just kind of have to book it across the street because there's no crosswalk there. So I'm not sure if this is within your power to do so or anything like that, but I think it would be really awesome to have crosswalk or crosswalks there, because also there's someone, I'm sure I'm not the only one that would benefit from that. I know for sure that there's someone dear to me that uses a cane, and sometimes she has to cross that street, getting off the bus, walking in town, whatever. So that would be nice. There's also kind of another even more minor thing, but the intersection in front of the Wakefield Mall, there's a crosswalk there with a light, which is fantastic, but I can't remember, maybe someone can remind me, if you're going down the Old Tower Hill Road there, and Like if you were to turn right, you would be going into the mall at that light there. Is there a no turn right on red sign? Because I've noticed that, of course, the sign isn't a cure-all, but in my experience, what'll happen is that light will turn on and you'll go to cross the street, and then especially at this time of year, someone will whip around the corner and they'll turn right into the mall when the red light's on, because it's a right turn on red, but there's also the crosswalk. So I've had some almost near misses there in my time. And also, last quick thing, I know it was a topic of discussion, put it that way, the whole gardening thing several months ago. I just wanted to mention that I've been actually gardening with my parents on their property, and it's been going really well, so I'm really happy about that. But yeah, if you can answer any of that.
All right, as it relates to the crosswalk, I mean, we'll have to refer that to the police chief. We have to, usually they do a study, they look into data, whether it makes sense, whether it doesn't. It's a whole, thinking that goes into this and data compilation that they have to look at and analyze. As to the no turn on red, I'm not sure if there is. I'm not sure if turn on right on red is allowed there or not. I mean, that's another one we can have the, police chief take a look at, and potentially adding the no turn on red sign there. Last one there, gardening. Patty, go ahead.
So, yes, we have brought the garden behind the former Wakefield Elementary School back to life for the season. This is a pilot program, and we have a wonderful group of volunteers that we hold regular weeding sessions. The Johnny Cake Center fixed the fence for us. We have a really nice committee, including people that know how to grow food, and we've already made our first donations to Johnny Cake Center. We've brought them basil, lettuce, radishes, and yes, and oregano went to the Peacedale Congregational Church, and we also got one pepper. But we have lots of other things coming up, and I actually started a nonprofit called Sow a Seed South County. So the acronym for that is SASC, and my friend's working on I'm not going to keep going, but we're growing a lot of food, and I hope to continue this in the future. So yes, I'm glad you're growing food, and everybody should be planting something. It's time to get those cold weather crops in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's glad to hear that people are interested in this.
Yeah.
But that's it for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Kai.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Deb McDowell, and I have a few questions I'd really like to get some answers for. It's exhausting and frustrating that we as taxpayers have to wait till 11 o'clock to be heard. I'm very thankful tonight that it's not 11 o'clock. You approved the SK town budget on May 9th, setting the rate at 8.98 per thousand assessed property value. And I want to emphasize that tax-paying citizens, because only 3 of you up there are Deb, Mike, and Patty, live and pay taxes here in South Kingstown, that would like to review the numbers if I could. $700,000 was from investments. The tax assessor identified $340,000 unanticipated additional property tax, and that equals over $1 million of unanticipated revenue. Despite this, you all agreed not to return even 8 cents per thousand to the taxpayers, money you didn't need to fund the budget, and I'm wondering why. The town already has a bloated, undesignated fund balance, yet you hold on to the funds that could have offered much-needed relief for the taxpayer. Deb Bergner made a motion to return that money, and it was quietly denied. No discussion, no transparency, just silence. Decisions seem to have been made behind closed doors without public awareness, and that's not good governing. You seem to be out of touch with this community that struggles. It's difficult enough for young families to purchase a home and to look at a $3,000 or $4,000 tax bill on top of their insurance and the expenses that they can't make. Yet you took more than you needed, because you didn't need it, but you did it because you could. Historically, the undesignated fund hasn't been touched for 30 years, except to withdraw 1.3 or 1.4 million in interest to balance the budget. Meanwhile, the town holds millions in other reserve accounts, like the road improvements, the capital improvements, the equipment improvements, recreation services reserve, and the library service. During COVID 2021, the undesignated funds grew substantially due to all the facilities shut down. While having a reserve is sound financial practice, it should not be overflowing. Best practice allows for the fund to be drawn down to 16% of the operating budget, yet it remains above that. Jay, I understand that you want to do set up a youth advisory board of non-taxpayers, but where's the tax-paying adult advisory board? Remember, there are seniors who live here and live on a fixed income, and young families that struggle every 3 months to write a check to this town. And I just ask that before you approve any more of these requests that come before you, remember there are seniors that are living here, that grew up here, that are struggling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rory, I just wanted to call out back 1028 Town Council meeting, when you spoke out of turn, your response was, I want to be clear that as the president, I'm running the meeting. Back in September at the Women's League of Voters, and this is your exact quote, acquiring the input is really the cornerstone of government. Obviously, how it works is the voters elect council members, and the council members serve the residents. The next election cycles go on from there, but if we don't represent the wishes of the community, then we are not doing our job. We really shouldn't be elected in another time thereafter. My philosophy on it, it is very important. It's really the only thing that matters. We represent the people. We deserve to know what the people want and wish. We are obligated to carry out the wishes of the people. And if we can't do that, then it is up to the people to vote in new people. Every time a tax-paying citizen brings a legitimate concern to this council, whether it's the woman at the last meeting raising issues about private roads, my own concerns about rising tax rates, Jay Wagamont's continued presence at the table, Jim O'Neill pointing out the lack of homestead action, or Brett highlighting how the public is being ignored, you simply respond with a dismissive, next, next, who's next? Nothing else. You don't engage, you don't comment, you don't acknowledge the concerns, and you certainly don't place them on the agenda to take them into serious consideration. At this point, it's clear if you're unwilling to listen to the people, the actual taxpayers in this town, and a lot of us are hurting, I can reassure you that, then you shouldn't be sitting in those seats. Jay, I must raise concerns about your recent conduct. You left a meeting while performing your official duties to address a personal matter, storming out to settle a personal score from 7 months ago. That's not professional, nor is it appropriate for an elected official, and many are now questioning your ability to manage your emotions under pressure. You lost the ability to conduct yourself professionally. I've also noticed at the last meeting, you avoided eye contact with me when I speak. You're making eye contact with me now. Later, I learned of the no contact order in place between you and 3 people, me and the other taxpayer who have a right to be here, Jessica Drew Day. That's troubling. And while it's not my issue to resolve, your listed address on this criminal complaint, the no contact order, is 22 Wild Goose Lane, Narragansett. That raises legitimate questions about your residency and your eligibility to even serve on this council. When you all treat each other and the public this way, it creates a very hostile environment. Why would anyone feel comfortable coming up here and participating in local government when they're afraid of being belittled or dismissed? Frankly, I'm tired, personally, of all the grandstanding. You guys, this is not about photo ops or political showboating, such as the recent appearance with the governor. We don't want politics. We want responsible, transparent governance. That's what we need. I have a lot of questions and I need answers. People are simply exhausted. You make us, the taxpayers, that give you our money to spend, to wait it out until later. I don't know why all of a sudden there's a comment tonight, but a lot of times we're at the end of the night and it's shameful. You approved the SK Town budget on May 9th, did a little research into this. You yielded the $8.98 tax rate per 1,000 on the tax-paying citizens. And I do stress the tax-paying citizens because the only 3 up there that actually pay property taxes in this town are Deb, Mike, and you, Patty. You received an extra $700,000 from investments, and then the tax assessor gave you that extra $340,000. That was when he identified the additional properties he had forgotten to include. You already approved the budget. So with that budget, you could have given the 8 cents back to us, the taxpayers, because you didn't need it for the budget. You already voted on the budget. That's what you needed. But you didn't. You already have an already bloated undesignated fund balance. You decided to keep that extra money that you did not need. The taxpayers in this town need that money for their families. There was a motion filed, but you denied it because you made that decision in the back room again, not wanting us to know that that motion was made. You're not sensitive to the needs of the community that you're elected to serve. The motion was made and you all sat in silence. I know Deb made the motion. You guys,
all right, you're well over. You know, there are other people here who want to speak. We'll allow you to wrap up. You've been saying your piece. We'll allow you to close, but you got to stay within the confines of what we're doing. There's other people who want to speak.
So I can't finish.
You got a few seconds, otherwise that's it.
Okay, so I know that you want to do a youth advisory board. I don't understand why you don't have an adult tax-paying advisory board with the people that pay taxes, because our voices matter. The youth, that's great, but they're not paying taxes. We are. We live in this town. We support our families. We should be on the tax advisory board. And I know that you guys have to appoint those people, so then I have to question with your decision-making, are you going to appoint your people or the people that actually come up here and speak all the time that have concerns about it?
All right, we're going to leave it at that. You are well over. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Does anyone else in the audience wish to speak? Anybody to come on up?
That's why we're here, folks. Let the public speak. That's the only reason, not the only reason, but it's one of the main reasons I come, to listen to public comment. Anyway, I was in Florida for about 10 days. I saw some of the news there. We have a very nice facility being used over there now, the Alligator Alcatraz. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it or not. If you watch the news, you probably saw something about it. Well, 250 out of the large group that were placed in there just recently in the last few days had no criminal record whatsoever.
And why am I here again? I'm going to be here, like I said, as long as I'm alive, or at least as long as I believe this country's going down the tubes with our legal process. Now we've got the Department of Education. Now, some people might not think the Department of Education, that in itself is extremely important, but I would say that education is the most important thing that goes on in the country. And other countries have figured that out a long time ago. A lot of countries have figured it out, and we're behind a lot of the countries. And it's been noted in the news that education, if this bill is, I guess it's passed, I don't know, it's so sickening in my mind to what is going on that it's hard to even express things about it. But one of the results of less emphasis on certain things is going to stimulate the idea of schools unrelated to public schools. Schools that can just be formed, and people, if money, it's about money when it comes to public education, there's no doubt about it. I paid my taxes this week. I paid in full. Why? Why did I do a thing like that? Only because I can. And I don't like to have bills over my head. I don't want to have to think about them. But most people can't deal that way. I shouldn't even deal that way, but I do, because money isn't the important thing. How we live our lives and how we treat each other and how we if we in a country can continue to let people being dragged off the street and just thrown in these cages and treated like less than animals, we have a serious problem. And I'm very happy that there's a lot of people in this community that showed up for some of those demonstrations. And it is about due process generally, but it's about a lot of other things too. There's so much negative going on right now. How about FEMA? Let's get rid of that. You know, we don't need that. It's one thing of not needing that, but there's no replacement. The tragedy in Texas, well, let's not talk about the reasons or why it happened or what we could do. There's a little of that going on, but obviously a lot of things could have been done better. A lot of things. I'm just an average guy. It doesn't take, you don't have to be a mental giant to figure a lot of this stuff out. It's lack of responsibility by the people in charge. And then, on top of that, the apathetic public that we have that doesn't take a closer look at some of this stuff. And that's it, and I'm going to leave only because I'm beat, and my dog's waiting for me at home.
All right, thank you, Bob.
Before you hit the buzzer, I just have to ask this question because the thing I was going to talk about is K under new business. So you don't want me to talk about it now, right?
That's right.
You do not want me to talk about it now.
We'll wait till we get to the item, and then you'll have the floor, Doral.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience?
Brett Harrington, Wakefield. There's two sides of the political spectrum here. We've got the right, we've got the left. It's a race to the bottom. It's a gotcha, okay? As I've said before, the right isn't perfect and the left isn't perfect, okay? You want to talk about people being, taken off the streets, okay? There's things we can do. We all agree. We don't need everybody off. We don't need to take them all away. Everybody wants just the criminals. But we can't be having societies that protect the criminals and don't work with the police to find the criminals. That's enough of that. Anyway, I kind of proved my point earlier in this meeting when the gentleman got up and he spoke about, you know, the traffic and the right on red and all that stuff. When he was finished, you guys had some back and forth. Not for the speakers that came up after him, and that's what this is all about. If we don't get back and forth, we have nothing, because if we want to put something on a communication an agenda, as I've said many times, you have a lot of weapons in your toolbox to keep us quiet. And no, we're not going to allow that. Simply, we're not going to allow it on the agenda. So that's it. And other things, when people come here, we have the people that will move up. Just the other day when I was here, you know, we had the guy from Tuna Oyster Bar. We don't want to keep him in the back. Get him up here. We're going to move him up on the agenda. But we don't see the general public being moved up there on the agenda because we don't really care what they have to say. That's it. Nothing's. I mean, I brought up topics, and I don't know why I still come, and that's why there's nobody here. That comment. I don't know why I still come, because nothing I brought up in the, I don't know how many years I've been coming now, is ever addressed. It's just thank you. That's it. You know, and that's just the way it rolls, and it's just not acceptable. And if I was ever to get into one of those seats, which the machine would never allow me into one of those seats, believe it or not, Doral, I think I would finish below you. That's the bottom line. But there would be no clock, and there would be no not back and forth or anything like that. You know, there's just, that's it. That's it. And I'll, like Bob says, he's going to keep coming, and I guess I'll keep coming, but I got to find something better to do. And
Thank you, Brett.
Good evening. My name is Mike Miller. I'm a paramedic with the town. I work in the EMS department. I've been a paramedic here in the town for 10 years now. I'm also the vice president of the IFF Local 3365, the South Kingstown EMTs. Last week, I sent all the council members a letter. I'd like to read it and then, riff from there. Dear honorable council members, on behalf of the International Association of Firefighters, Local 3365, South Kingstown EMTs, I'm proud to announce the 2025 Muscular Dystrophy Association Fill the Boot fundraising campaign. This year we'll be holding 2 Fill the Boot events at the intersection of Main and Columbia on July 19th and August 16th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The MDA Fill the Boot campaign is our largest annual philanthropic effort, and with the community's support, we're hoping to make this year's Fill the Boot the most successful we've ever had. Fill the Boot began in 1954 when the IAFF committed to support the Muscular Dystrophy Association until a cure is found. Over the past 70 years, IAFF members have raised over $710 million to support the MDA's mission of research, treatments, and support services for those living with neuromuscular diseases. The membership of IAFF Local 3365 is eager to do our part. Last year, thanks to the generosity of the people of this community, we raised $3,058 for the MDA. This year, at our 2 Fill the Boot events, our members will be collecting donations to try and meet our 2025 goal of $5,000. Additionally, we'll have a QR code for our online fundraising page. If you see us and you don't have cash, please donate online. Every dollar collected goes directly to the MDA and their programs. Thank you for your continued support and generosity, and here's to another successful year of making a difference. And at this point, I would love to give the council the opportunity to be the first people in the town of South Kingstown to donate to the MDA. I'm gonna bring the boot up.
Do you take Venmo?
I got a QR code right
All right.
And, of course, you get a sticker. Look at this. everybody at home?
How much did he do? How much did he do?
I'll let you know later.
All right, here you go. Thank you, appreciate it.
I'm gonna be the first one to donate, Deb. I'm gonna beat you. Yeah, but wait.
You just gave me first. It's okay.
No, but I'm gonna get it online.
It says this connection is not private.
I believe that. Can
I just take a picture of that?
Oh, please do.
Thank you. All right, we're now going to move to new business. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say something, if I
Go
could.
ahead.
So, it's been a really hard week, and a lot of things have happened this week that remind me of that we have a really good community and lots of good people in it. There's been some really hard stuff that's gone on. I'm sort of being cryptic, but I think when bad things happen, I remember all the good people around me that lifted me up when my family was in a bad place, and I know there's a lot of people out there who need to lean in on other people, and I feel like SK does a really good job of helping people in need who are hurting. So I just feel like over the last week, I get reminded of how much good really exists among the residents, and I just wanted to say it out loud that I appreciate all the acts of kindness that people give other people, and I just wanted to recognize that. Sorry. It's been a week here in SK.
Thank you, Deb. All right, we're now going to move on to new business. We're going to go to item A. Jamie Rabbit, come on up.
While Jamie's coming up, I just want to say and give kudos to our amazing Parks and Recreation Department, who had the first concert on the beach tonight. It was a packed house, and just kudos to Terry Murphy and her team.
So thank you, Mr. McEntee. Just simply tonight, with regard to your agenda item, this was a continuation of the RFP discussion on South Road School. You have a memo, should have a memo dated July 14th, addressed to the town manager, making a recommendation to continue this for 1 to 3 months. Some of the reasoning behind that is we originally had a meeting with the Secretary of Rhode Island Housing scheduled approximately 3 weeks ago. That was canceled and rescheduled for this Thursday. So we need to have continued discussions about funding opportunities both at the local, state, and federal level. We have that opportunity when she is in town this Thursday, when we tour all 3 sites, both South Road, Oliver Watson, and Wakefield Elementary. That'll give us an opportunity to discuss the town's needs, how we're trying to move forward. In addition, there's some additional funding opportunities through Rhode Island Commerce. There were 4 grants we were applying for with regards to further study of infrastructure needs for South Road schools. Those grants were due this Thursday. We had them prepared to go tomorrow. That has been continued as far as an open date until July 31st. So those grant opportunities have been pushed to the future, which means the responses to those grant opportunities have been pushed to the future also. So at a minimum, we're making a recommendation as your staff to move this either to August or potentially it could go out to September. There's no intent from our department or the town managers to cause us any undue delay, but as you recall in the presentations by Perini as well as Union Studios, we still, specifically to the South Road School, had a $5 or $6 million funding gap. As we finalized the RFP, we can narrow down that funding gap. We can potentially get much better responses because the development community will have a better idea of who's paying for what. So we're asking for your patience. August is potentially the near term but potentially we may not have all the answers you're looking for in August.
Good.
Jamie, thank you for walking us through that. I think that if we were to table this for another month or two, I would lean on picking August for this council. Even in August, if we feel at that time we have to kick it again, we can do that. I think that would be appropriate. I'd rather not put this on the docket too far forward because of our interest and need. It's our number one, right? So that would be my suggestion.
I think that's an absolute fair statement, and I think I see heads nodding. So,
Go ahead.
So the only meeting in August is August 12th. That's 30 days from now. Do you think that that's reasonable, or should we go and do the first
I
meeting in
think-
September?
to respond to Ms. Bergner's comment, I think it's reasonable with the expectation that we may have no new pertinent information for
Fair.
you. So I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
Okay.
We're meeting, as I mentioned, this Thursday with Secretary Goddard in town. That may take a while of communication back and forth. So I may be back before you or Mr. Manny in August saying we still don't have the necessary information we feel to take the next big step forward.
That's fair.
I will say we did meet with the Affordable Housing Collaborative to review the RFP. I think it was well received. We had a great discussion for well over half an hour talking about the merits of the RFP, the fluctuations in the affordable housing percentages, and kind of stay tuned. We'll have more information for you coming forward.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Do I hear a motion to continue this item to the August meeting?
So moved.
All right, we got a
Second.
motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, this item is continued.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Jamie.
So I just wanted to make one point of clarification. Going back to public comment, I wanted to make sure that I was correct in what I was saying. So the tax rate, as we voted on, was not $8.98, it was $8.94. So we split that 8 cents, keeping half and returning half. So I just wanted to clarify that, and I did, in fact, clarify that that is what we did. So just, that's it.
All right.
Right, but they are correct that I did make a motion because it was possible to reduce the tax rate to 890, and it was not seconded, so it died, and there was no discussion. Correct? That's what happened.
I would like to go to item 9B, Mr. President.
There's no need to flesh out the details of what occurred at a past meeting. We can go back and watch it in a recording. No need to sort of dispute or not dispute as to what occurred. Rich Burbank, come on up.
If Patty's trying to discuss what the tax rate is, we're certainly going to tell the people that they were correct and that I did make the motion was not seconded, and then you all voted to make it 894 when it could have been 890.
Right, we split the two, we split it. So I don't really recall, exactly how that went down, but I know that
It passed 4-1, 894.
Yeah,
Point of
so-
order.
All right,
Point of order, Mr. President.
But it wasn't
If we want to
898,
discuss this,
so.
we gotta
Point
add
of
it to
order.
if we want to discuss this, we got to add it to the agenda. If there's no motion to add it to the agenda, we're going to move on. Hearing no motion to add it, Rich Burbank, come on up.
Thank you. I've got 4 items here. The first being a request to award a SCADA upgrade to electrical installations in the amount of $86,620. Our SCADA systems, we have 2 in town. One, and they're generally for utility purposes. One is for the water system. One is for the wastewater system. SCADA is it's an acronym for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. It's the system that runs, tells us all the liquid elevations, the flows, all those things, keeps us updated. Also notifies us if there's ever an issue at either the wastewater plant or the water within the water department. I was in here just recently for an upgrade of the water department. as you may remember even from that. And with this, we generally squirrel away money on a regular basis. We did put $90,000 towards this. Of that 83,000, we are obligated to 29,547 because of the partnership agreement.
All right, thank you, Rich. Any questions for Rich on this?
Mr. President, a motion to approve item 9B.
All right, we got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We got a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, that passes.
Thank you. So the next one, item 9C, is the recommendation to award a contract to a company or for the purchase of a software entitled Fleetio. As you can imagine, the management of our fleet, which is all the vehicles in town, including police and EMS, all of the highway vehicles, about 150 pieces of equipment, is somewhat complicated. That includes all of the oil changes, all of the regular maintenance, any repairs. Generally, the way we operate, we have been over the past few years, is we've tried to muscle in our asset management software that we have to be able to manage this, but it's really not dedicated to that. What we've learned is that really we need a software that is dedicated to the purpose of fleet management. This particular software, in addition to keeping us aware of our maintenance obligations to these vehicles for safety purposes, it'll also help manage our stock, all of the materials, all of the parts that we have, our parts department. It goes right down to scanning products, and so we'll always have a good update on inventory. It'll really help us manage the whole operation much better. So this is a request to award the contract to, it's called Rare Step is the name of the company that offers this particular service. We picked them up through Government Services Administration, and the contract amount is $15,750. Now, the thought was that we would do a multi-year on this because we don't have to be back every year, but we're going to have to flesh out a few things, and one of the items is that a lot of this is managed based on the number of vehicles, how many you really are. So there may be a point where we realize maybe we don't need as many, or maybe we need to add some. So next year, instead of obligating us to a certain dollar amount, next year we'll be back again, and I'll be making the same request for a similar dollar amount.
All right, thank you, Rich. Any questions on this one?
I have some questions.
Please.
I'm just trying to understand it because there's a lot of information in the memo. So at some point, I'm going to give a suggestion about the memos. But so it's $15,000 for 12 months, but this memo says the total, I'm confused, the total cost is $79,620? And it's cost sharing? I mean, can you go through that a little bit?
There is no cost sharing in this case.
Am I looking at the wrong thing? I am, sorry. I'm looking at something else.
Okay, so the cost sharing would apply to the previous SCADA system upgrade. That would be, with respect to URI and Narragansett and South Kingstown as partners in the wastewater. So in that case, yes, there was some cost sharing in that, but with Fleetio, it's a straight cost of $15,000.
Okay. And where's the funding? It says available funding.
So what we've done here is we were able to move money. It's for the fiscal year 26. We were able to pull money from our professional services. So no increase in the funds. We'll manage professional services as we need to in order to make it work. But the money has come from professional services. It moved over to our software accounts.
Okay. Okay. So is there lots of money? It doesn't say you're just that doesn't say that you're taking it from professional services in the memo. And what's the fund balance? I mean, I think in the future, Jim, maybe we could do the memo could have, it would reduce the number of questions we have, where the funding source is, what the balance of that fund is, because this is funding that's coming from another fund that wasn't designated in the past. He's shifting it over. So maybe there could be instead of these long paragraphs, maybe funding source, fund balance of that, so that it's, you could, instead of reading a 3-page memo, which is fine, it's just, we're deep, yeah. Some common things at the top of every memo. I think they used to do it that way.
I agree. I mean, short is sometimes better, but also thorough is good too. So I think there's a balance. So we'll work on just getting the facts right up front.
Because we're looking, because it doesn't say that he's taking the money from professional services, so then we're saying, well, where's the money coming from? And then that's a question, and then it's a back and forth, as opposed to where it is, and then I don't know what the balance is in any of those funds. So that would be good to include.
Okay.
Just according to the memo, it says it's coming from the Streets and Highway Division computer software maintenance account. Is that right?
Yeah, and the money's actually already been moved over, so it's all from our computer accounts that we have. We have general, it's all from our operating budget. It's not, this is not a capital expense. So, you know, what we normally do is we would move money from, you know, things like professional services and put it into where it really, you know, is going to be, you know, where we can actually bill something like this to. We can't just bill this directly to professional services. We have to bill it to our computer accounts or for our maintenance of software accounts. We can't bill it to professional services from bookkeeping standpoint, obviously.
Right.
So what we've already done is move that money over. So that's why you don't see it here. It's just going. It's just going to come from the.
Rich, follow-up question. It's going to be implemented. Fleetio is going to be implemented in 90 days of the date of purchase, and then we have a 12-month period. So it would basically be at least next August we'll have some data about how this contract went. Do you think if we could write down in 12 months, we could get back to us and see if this was worth the investment?
Yeah, and I'll have to come back if we're gonna continue with this service. I'll have to be back here, and it'll be in 12 months.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Motion.
there'll be an update as part of that.
Thank you. Motion to approve item 9C, Mr. President.
We got a motion. Is there a second? We got a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Thank you, Rich. We got 2 more items from you.
So effectively, you know, it seems like another software type thing. You know, we are, when I come in here each year and I talk to you about our capital program for road maintenance, we are normally basing our decision on which roads we do from our observations. But what we want to do is start to become more, I guess, quantitative in a sense, or data-driven. So what we'd like to do is to bring Beta Engineering, who is the, you know, they're doing the same thing for every community in the area. This is what they do. And I'd like to have them do all of our roads. You know, they photograph and video them whenever they have to do, and they pull together every bit of information about its past maintenance, all of that, and then they rank all the roads so that when I come in here for capital, that I'll be able to say, listen, we want to look at these roads because they are, they've been determined to be our worst roads. And it just helps us, our decision-making a little bit easier, and I think helps justify how we you know, spend our money. So, you know, this is a request to award a contract to Beta Group for, in the amount of $46,955 for the purpose of developing our pavement management database. This would be something that we will need to upgrade each year, and I've been told it's based on number of lane miles, and that's what they determine through this whole process. This will include the bike path as well, by the way. But you know, it's far less, and I've been told it'll be in and around that $7,000 to $8,000 a year range. And then after 5 years, they ask that you update the whole thing. Now, we did put away $120,000 last year in the capital, and that's the money that'll help carry us for the next 5 years. So you won't. Well, I'll be back next year for the maintenance portion, but I'd like to look at it as though maybe hopefully I can get to it so it'll be a 5-year maintenance. But I'll have to come back because they won't know that number until next year.
All right, thank you, Rich.
Motion to approve item 9D.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just one question for Rich. Rich, it's based off a 155-mile roadway. Can you remind me how much roadway we have in South Kingstown?
It's in and around
Ish.
100, it's in and around 150 miles, 150 miles.
Well, that
That's SK roads.
seems like it's perfect for us, so no
Yeah.
more questions. Thank you.
All right. Any more discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, that passes. We got one more, Rich. This is a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. So we've completed much of our pavement. We still have a few items that we're running through on a punch list for our 25 season. That was James Trail, Robinson, Salt Pond, and Woodruff, a short section of Woodruff Ave. So what I'd like to do now, now that the dust has sort of settled, I'd like to roll right into Old North Road. And I requested from Lynch a cost to do that. It was $555,000. With a contingency, it would move our original contract with Lynch from $859,000 to $1.445 million. This would, take us right through to our 26 pavement contract. So this would cover us for 26 as well. What I did ask, though, that Lynch, they got to utilize all the original. When we put this bid out, we did a unit pricing, so that because we know our measurements may be different than their measurements, and may be different than actual asphalt put down. We can't really bid by the road, so we do by unit pricing. They held all their same unit pricing, so it's an extension of the existing contract.
All right, this one, Rich, you got to walk us through the funding. I mean, we've nearly doubled the amount that we've committed to this.
Yeah.
Not quite double, but can you walk us through this?
So each year in capital, we generally look at about $700,000. So we did receive $700,000, $650, I think it was last year, and then another $650 this year. So that helps fund all of this. But I received an approval for the. I'm losing my train of thought. I received an approval for the $859,000 months ago. That was to cover us for the 2025. So in 2026, I received my funding for the upcoming pavement year. That was another $650,000. We received another $184,000 from the state, and all of this is accumulated in our roadway unassigned assets or unassigned funds. So it's all available in my highway unassigned funds.
So it's just a multi-year project? So the amount goes up, but it's just phased over 2 years?
It's a multi-year project. I apologize for my confusion. It's a multi-year project, yes.
Okay.
So we're looking at $25 and $26. We're straddling the season by doing it this way a little bit.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So that is a busy URI road, Old North Road to Flag Road, correct?
That's what?
That's a busy URI traffic road.
Yeah, still a town road.
Still a
Yes.
town road, right. So my question is, do you know when you're going to do this?
I'm pressing to do it this summer,
Yeah,
right? So Lynch is actively working on campus now,
okay.
and they're in town. They did all of this work here.
They did it,
They
they were-
also did the work for Rhode Island Energy, which was a section that goes up to almost a pump house. So they're actively here now. I'm pressing them to do this summer. It would be before school comes back. If it gets held up, we'll have a problem.
Yeah.
But that's something that I would really have to, talk with URI about. I could come back here and talk more about it if that's the decision. But generally we try to work these contracts so one lane is always open. It could be very difficult, but we'll have to figure that out. But the press is right now is to get them up there now.
Right, because I think if you impact 10,000 students commuting to campus every day, and a lot of people do use that road to get to Flag Road where the parking is way in the back. So it would be helpful if they would do it before Labor Day for people who live in the community and for the 15,000 students that will be on campus.
I agree, and, there's no good time
I know.
to ever do any of these projects, and, even on 138, we would think the summertime is a good time. We will be paving 138 starting Monday. It should take about 3 days, but we'll be paving curb to curb. But there's no good time, and even that, we're doing at night. And I don't know how to answer that, but you're absolutely correct, and I have been pressing to get this done in August, and we'll see.
So is that so we communicate with Lynch, that's not DOT, there's no influence that the town manager can sort of do to sort of move that forward and make sure it happens before Labor Day?
Well,
I just
Old
feel
North
like it'll
Road,
be a
Old
traffic
North
nightmare.
Road is strictly us. It's our contract with Lynch. It is strictly us.
Okay. So you're just hopeful that they'll put it in the queue?
Yeah, they're busy, like a lot of contractors, but they're busy.
6 weeks.
I would expect that the construction time period would be maybe 2 weeks.
Okay.
They can get it done that fast?
That section? Yeah.
That's
Straight.
not a lot, that's not a lot of roads.
Straight, not a lot
It's
of
2
driveways.
weeks.
It's 4,600 feet.
Yeah.
The full amount of the work involved in this contract, they can get done in August?
No. 4 of those roads have already been done.
Okay.
They're complete.
He's talking,
I'm just talking about Old North Road,
2
solely
weeks.
Old North Road.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a 2-week project. And I'm saying, try to do it before URI moves back in the last week in August. So, as you can see what a nightmare that would be, even for move-in and whatever. And
Yeah, I concur. If you could get it done before the kids move back in, like Councilwoman Bergner said, I think that's great. And on my road to making a motion, I just wanted to give the team kudos to how great of a job they did on Robinson. Walking from my condo there, the roads look phenomenal, and it's A+. My neighbors are loving it too, and we've been just talking about it. So, just want to give you kudos. It's great
Thanks.
to see all the work getting done.
We'll express that to Lynch. Thank you.
Please do.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve?
motion to approve. item-
Seconded.
Motion to, I lost my motion to approve item 9E. Sorry.
I think it's my fault because I lost my train of thought too.
All right, we got a motion.
Seconded.
We have a second. Any discussion?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Thank you, Rich. Mark Russo, come on up.
Good evening. This is a resolution ratifying a contract the town manager signed, it was July 3rd, and to execute the agreement with Power Options and Constellation New Energy, both of Boston. This is for the purchase of electricity under the Rhode Island Energy Aggregate Program as a participating member of the League of Cities and Towns. This is for a period between December 2025 to December of 2028.
One question I have.
Yes.
How did you sign that on July 3rd if you were international July 2nd?
I have magic powers. No, but that's not it. So I did sign it before I left. That was the last thing I signed.
Yes.
I normally would never sign anything before I brought it to the council, but I checked with the solicitor. If we did not sign it by that date, and it was due by the 10th, so we would have missed this meeting, our rates automatically would have gone up by a half cent a kilowatt.
Yes.
Yes, it was substantial. So I called the solicitor and asked him, can I sign this? And he said yes. He said, and he didn't use the word exigent circumstances, but similar to that. And he said yes. If you don't do it, the rates are going to go up. So sign it and bring it to the attention of the council. So.
We forgive you.
Does this,
Wait, that still doesn't answer my question.
But no,
How did you
that was the last
actually
thing I signed. I didn't
Okay,
leave till, I left on the 3rd, the night of the 3rd.
Right, we were chasing him out the door with the paper.
Yeah, he did. It was the last thing I signed.
with that
right?
auto
was.
pen or something?
Poor Jim.
Auto pen, yes.
Can I just ask a question? Does this change the company that we have been getting our power from? So it's not that Florida
Yeah, it's no
company
longer,
again?
It's no longer that company.
Okay, so there's two things about this Rhode Island Energy aggregate program, or REAP, which is through the League of Cities and Towns, is just for municipalities. The community aggregation program is with Good Energy. It's separate. It's totally separate from this group. So it's only municipalities can go through this REAP program.
I see.
Yeah, we have 64 accounts and over 4 million kilowatt hours per year. So, I mean, we're a smaller town compared to others as far as purchasing goes.
So, Good Energy, then we still are under contract with them for another year or so?
It was a 5-year contract. We're in year 3 now.
Okay.
With them.
Yeah, so I definitely would like to know about that long in advance and have other options.
Just so you know, the state of Rhode Island, they as of July 1st, the law changed where 23% of our electricity supply was generated through renewables. It's now 34%, and it's going to top out at 100% by 2033. So, you know, prices are they're starting to creep up because of the renewables.
Mark, so this is not related to the municipal aggregation program?
It is not.
Okay, so this is only related to power for the municipal buildings?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Through the League of Cities and Towns.
Gotcha.
Just a brief question. The Act on Climate, 100% renewable by 2030, is this aligning with that?
It is, yeah. Yes, because it's a state law that we have to, the 34% as of right now
Right.
is part of our electric supply.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes up incrementally every year until 2033, where it tops out at 100%. Our electric supply will be completely from renewables: wind, solar, water, biomass, such as that.
Right, and just so the public knows, this is a state law that the town of South Kingstown and all the other 37 municipalities are trying to do, and I'm glad that we are on our way to be doing that, Mark, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Could you just explain, I'm not sure if I heard you correctly, as we increase our percentage of renewables, did you say our rates are going to go up?
Well, if you look at the community aggregation program we have right now, the people who are paying 100%, they're buying the they call them RECs. Their rate is higher than, say, the standard rate that we have right now. So I'm not sure what the percentage is, but they're paying a little bit more money for their electricity because they're buying 100% of their supply as renewable. So I don't know if that answers your question. It doesn't.
No, I mean, in the...
I think it indirectly does.
What? What did you say?
I said I think it indirectly does.
Are you talking about the community program, the residential customer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we had to sign this contract by July 11th because our rates were going to go up, and they were going to go up because of the change of law in the state of Rhode Island. It went from 23% to 34% for the renewable contribution to our electric supply. So what Power Options and Constellation, and working with Julie Mason, we were able to negotiate with them to, and our electric supply is, right now currently it is 0.0163, so it's like 10.5 cents per kilowatt hour. The new rate is going to be 0.1098, or just shy of 11 cents per kilowatt hour, and that's locked in for 3 years. So that renewable increase will not affect us moving forward as of right now. So
Where it already accounts for it within that contract, I guess. So if the state law is saying at a minimum, you have to have this amount of renewable energy.
Right.
And you have more and more each year thereafter. If you sign into a contract now that within the middle of the contract, state law increases the amount of renewables that you need, this contract that we're contemplating now already accounts for that.
it does.
Okay.
We are locked into that price.
All right, any other questions for Mark on this?
Motion to approve item 9G.
We got a motion,
Second.
we got a second. Any discussion? It's 9F.
Apologies, I'm going to rescind my motion and make a new motion. Motion to approve item 9F, as in Frank.
We got a motion,
Second.
we got a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right, that passes. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, it's now going to move us to item K, discussion relative to an email dated July 7, 2025 from Doral Beasley concerning enrollment calculations and geothermal energy use for the proposed South Kingstown High School as requested by Councilmember Bergner. Doral, come on up.
So Doral, before you talk, I just want to say, Doral reached out to me and he asked for my assistance to help him get on the agenda so he could speak to the community, speak to the school building community staff, project managers, because he wanted this opportunity. I feel Switzerland, so I'm just saying I welcome the opportunity for anyone to speak at the podium about any topic. It doesn't mean that I'm interested or I agree. I'm just providing the opportunity for someone who wanted this opportunity. And I would do it for anybody on any topic.
Good evening. So, I didn't think I'd be here tonight. Actually, I didn't want to be here. I thought by now I'd be long gone from this project. That was my original goal. After stage 2 was done, I was going to quit because really. Anyway, so reason I'm here tonight is because over the last 7 months, I've tried multiple times to have two items looked at that were part of the stage 2 application, and neither of them were addressed. The first one was back in February when I sent an email to Studio Jade, and I sent it to the school building committee. I believe you guys got it too. I was questioning the target enrollment capacity for the new high school. When I looked at Studio Jade's calculation and the verbiage that was attached to it, I thought that they had made an error, and I believe that the number they had at that point was 725 students. I came up with 694. I asked that it could be looked at. As far as I know, it never was looked at. So that's where that one ended. Just to let you know, the differential between for every student, it's about $160,000. So you take 200 square feet per student times 800 per square foot, $160,000. Now, if you're talking about 30 students, 25 or 30 students differential, you're looking at $4.5 million. Now, I've also come before you in the last couple of months talking about regionalization with Narragansett. I brought up the issue of the fact that the projected NESDEC's projections 10 years out from this year have our high school enrollment at about 436 students. We're building a high school for 300 more than that. Now, that's a real problem. When I'm going to leave this, I have another thing for you tonight. I'll leave off as I'm leaving. But anyway, so that's that problem. But I believe that was an error on Studio Jade's part, and I don't like to live with it, but you guys accepted it. So let's leave that one for now. Now, the one that really bothered me, though, is the geothermal energy for the new high school. So right from the beginning, when Studio Jade was hired, I've been an advocate for this high school to be as close to net zero as possible. A net zero building has an ECI, I believe it's ECI, number of 0. That's why it makes it 0. So in other words, all the energy consumed by the building is being replaced by energy that's being generated by the building. So back in December, December 17th and 18th, I believe, Studio Jade in left field came into this room and they gave you a presentation. And the presentation, this was at the, they had come up with the first cost estimate by Gil Bain, the cost estimate for the new high school at that point for 160,000 square foot building. Cost estimate was $153 million. So we're, but it was a little bit weird because at that point, of the 153 million, they had 22 million going towards Curtis Corner. So obviously that changed big time as the weeks went on. But and in that, in the Gilbane estimate, they had 17 million something dollars for geothermal. Now, so at that meeting in December, Studio Jade in left field, they came up with the first reconciliations where they're trying to reduce the cost because it's over budget. And the first thing that came up, the first slide that came up, was the elimination of geothermal now. And they said it was going to save $2.8 million. So as the months went on, I tried to get more information about where that 2.8 million figure came from. I couldn't get it from anybody. I sent you guys an APA request. I was told that here's my rejected APA request for more information on the geothermal. So at the June 9th meeting in this room, at a presentation by Studio Jade, Left Field, Slam Collaborative, and Gil Bain, after the presentation was made, I turned to I think I was up here at the podium, I turned to the Gil Bain representative and I asked them, the $17 million, was that for 100% geothermal? So in other words, the $17 million that you had in the budget for geothermal, that would have provided geothermal energy for the entire building? And he said yes. So then the light bulb came on, because here's why. So here's the life cycle cost analysis. Studio Jade, December 16th, 2024. And the slide that they showed on those two nights for the how much money was going to be saved if they eliminated geothermal was $2.8 million. Now, they had two alternatives. Here are the two alternatives that were shown that night. Alternative number one was $17 million for geothermal, which at that night I thought was I thought that was the 50-50 hybrid system, because that's what they talked about that night. They said, we're going to eliminate the geothermal, that we're going to use geothermal to heat and cool the 3-story academic tower, And if we don't use geothermal to heat and cool the academic tower, we'll save $2.8 million, and we'll do the whole building with air chillers, rooftop and ground-mounted air chillers. Okay, so, but that $17 million wasn't for that. That $17 million was for 100% geothermal energy. So the alternative 2 that they showed that night was 100% air chillers, and they said it was going to be about $15 million. Okay, but what they presented to you as the cost savings was the hybrid system. Well, that needed a third, there should have been a third alternative on that page. It should have been all geothermal, 50-50, and all air chillers. It wasn't there. So this life cycle cost analysis, HVAC, wasn't good last December. Then they tried to pawn it off again. Here it is again, May 27th, 2025. In here, you'll still see the same things. Alternative A, geothermal heat pumps, 17.1 million. Heat pump chillers, 15.5. There's no hybrid system in here. In December, when they came in here and said, you're going to save $2.8 million if we get rid of geothermal, they were selling to you the 50% model for the 3-story academic tower. That was the third alternative. I don't know where they came up with the $2.8 million. I asked them over at least half a dozen times. I never got any answer. Here's the biggest problem. The test well, which was dug in October, and I have pictures of it. The test well results were not published till December 13th. That means that all the HVAC things in there weren't even, so Gilbane's $17 million estimate for 100% capacity of the high school was total garbage. It was a guesstimate. Hold on, please. It was a total guesstimate because they didn't, their estimate came out on November 7th, 6 weeks before the results of the test well came out. We spent like $100,000 for that test well, and the test well results are not in any of that information on any alternative 1 or the hybrid. In neither case were the test well results of how many wells were going to be needed to do either 100% or 50% of the new high school were they used to make those documents. Now, so what happens is town council, the school building committee, and the school committee, they all say, oh yeah, we hear your numbers, we agree with you, we're not going to use geothermal, we're going to save $2.8 million. It was based on garbage. It was garbage numbers, garbage information. It was all garbage, okay? None of it was accurate. None of it. On this point, I am livid, okay? Livid. This town has seen, here we are in a country right now where the people that are running our country down in Washington, D.C. are They don't think global warming even exists. Okay. What are we doing? Okay. This town has already seen what's happening with our coastal erosion. Our once incredible town beach is just a shell of its former self. This high school should have been, as a community, we should have said, yes, we're going to try as hard as we can to make this a net zero building because it's what this planet needs, what this town needs. We should have been the leader on this. The fact that I feel like I was scammed, seriously. For months, I was just, after December, I was coming to meetings and I was getting really disheartened and not getting any answers. And when the representative for Gail Bain told me that night, oh yeah, it's 100% geothermal. Hello, okay. So this is what I'm asking. Now, I sent all this information to, if you've read what I sent you, and it's part of the tonight's agenda, I sent all of this information to the School Building Authority, to Mario Carreno, who's the CFO of the Department of Education. Mr. Carreno, in his comments to me, was that they understood that the differential of the number of students was not correct, and that I had issues with the cost calculation for the geothermal system, especially since the fact that even till today, if the project is completed by the end of 2027, whatever is put into that building with geothermal energy, investment tax credits are still available up to 30%. On a hybrid system, they'd be less, because if you're only doing half of it with geothermal and the other half with not geothermal, it would be 15 or 20%. But that's 30% on everything, not just the digging the wells, it's on the ductwork, the control systems, the piping, the electrical, everything, okay? Labor. With air chillers, you don't get anything. Also, when you have roof-mounted air chillers, you have to reinforce those parts of your roof need additional reinforcement, structural reinforcement, because of the weight of those systems. So here's where I am tonight. You paid for accuracy. You paid for accuracy, you paid for precision. That's not what you got. That HVAC report there, garbage. Now, when I brought it up Studio J about 10 days ago, or maybe a little longer than that, the next time I went back and looked at the stage 2 information, that document was gone. Now, that's all that's left now is this page right here. Energy consumption summary. In Watertown, Massachusetts, they're halfway through construction of what will be, from what they say, the first net zero high school in the United States. So they're halfway finished with it. They're using geothermal energy, 14 900-foot wells to heat and cool their 2-story community space section of the building. That's your gymnasium, your auditorium, the cafeteria, all that stuff. And their 4-story academic wing, they're going to heat and cool it with roof-mounted air chillers. Sounds interesting, right? Now, 14 900-foot wells, So it's a 200,000 square foot high school, so 100,000 square feet, half of the school where the community spaces are, they're going to heat and cool with 14 900-foot wells. The thing you were showing in December that night said you're going to save $2.8 million if we don't do this, and it was said it was going to be 40, you needed 40 wells. Remember, I told you they didn't use any of the data from the test well that Holdridge and Haley and Ulrich came up with. Haley and Ulrich said a high school for 50% of it, if you want to use 50% geothermal to do half the building, you need 20 wells, 20 800-foot wells, and for redundancy purposes, they suggested 30 wells. So 30 wells. Okay, the thing you saw in December, $2.8 million savings, said 40 wells. I asked a number of times at those meetings in that time frame, why is the differential? I couldn't get a straight answer. So here's the interesting thing. So Haley and Aldrich said if we were going to do the whole high school, all of it, 150,000 square feet, we would need 108 800-foot deep wells, 108 800-foot deep wells. In Massachusetts, they're doing half the school, 100,000 square feet, with 14 900-foot deep wells. I mean, that's an incredible differential, okay? So here's what I'm asking. We paid for accuracy. We've paid for precision. That's not what we got. I want accuracy. I want precision. I want the geothermal calculation redone, one by Gilbane. So Gilbane now has the test well results, Haley and Aldrich's report, so they can come up with an accurate number if we were to do geothermal, either 100% or 50%. But I want a second one. I'd like to see the town council, the school building committee, and the school committee authorize that the same company, which is Perry, I don't know how they say it, P-A-R-E, they're the geothermal people for the Watertown High School project. And I think Vertex Engineering is like their OPM. I've sent you the information. I would like to have our geothermal test well results, all the calculations sent to those people, and let them come up with their own calculation for our high school. Number one, because I think it's such a differential between what they're doing up there and what we're doing down here. To me, it doesn't make any sense. I think it would be prudent to do it that way. So here's,
all right,
I'm wrapping it up right here.
So Doral, I'm going to, because I brought you here, I want to be able, I'd like to either, one, stop you for a time to let somebody in the audience respond to some of the things that he's saying, because
I'm going to wrap it up. They can come up here and talk whatever they want.
No, I understand. But if we just, you've spoken for 20 straight minutes, and I wanted to jump in like 6 times just to ask questions myself, and you keep waving me off. But I want maybe either Kate or Phil Conti, Kate Turner, Phil Conti.
Well, Doral, if you only got a little bit left, finish out. We'll have
Okay.
you know, Phil Conti, left field, Gilbane, whoever can add some clarity to this.
Because, and I also don't even know, the first off the question, is the barn door already closed on geothermal? Have we gone too far down this road to even?
Right. So that's a good possibility. But here's the thing. we may, that horse may be out, and the barn door's already closed, okay? I understand that. But we paid for precision. We paid for accuracy. It's not what we got.
Okay.
And it's really irrelevant. It's immaterial, okay? I don't trust their numbers anymore. If I was on the school building committee, the town council school committee, I wouldn't trust their numbers. How can you trust numbers when they do something like that, and then they try and pawn it off as when it was still on the stage 2 report? If I hadn't mentioned it to Studio Jade about a week and a half, 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago, it'd probably still be part of it, okay?
Okay.
I didn't want to be here tonight to do this. It should have been taken care of months ago when I first brought these issues up. It could have been taken care of, and it wasn't. So that's where I'm at.
All right.
And I really appreciate you letting me talk tonight, because, yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Phil Conti, Kate from left field, Kate Massinati, representative from Gilbane. Why don't we all come up for this one?
So some things that I just hope that you address is, one, the discrepancy with the Massachusetts wells, because that was, like, why would that make no sense? And then also, if we didn't do geothermal because the barn door is closed, are there other opportunities to reduce energy consumption? I know that the roof is set for solar panels. Can we pursue, I know you're nodding, can we talk about some of those things? Because while geothermal may not be possible, there may be other options to help us create a better product.
So I just want to start off, Kate Massinanti, School Building Committee, School Committee. I just wanted to kind of start off, I'm going to let them speak to it. They're our professionals. We've hired them. I've trusted them with this project. I've been involved with the new high school in many iterations for far too long. One of the things I want to be clear, we were charged at the School Building Committee with building a new high school for $150 million. We were not charged with building the very first net zero school in Rhode Island. We were not charged with geothermal. We were not charged with that, right? We had a clear directive. And at some point in that exploration, we explored geothermal, and we were presented with various, and they're going to speak to the facts that Dorold has pointed out as what he feels are inaccuracies. Just because someone comes up and says something does not make it true, however. Right? So we're going to have them explain, and it may end up being that he's still going to believe that what they're saying is inaccurate, and they're going to say what they're saying is factual. I just want us to really remember what our charge is at the School Building Committee. $150 million high school on Hazard Field. They have done a phenomenal job of making sure that we are being sustainable. We are solar ready. Right now, the plan does not include putting the solar panels on, but they'll be ready to be done as maybe a separate project because we need to maintain $150 million. It's a school building. It's an academic building, and our charge is to build a building that our students need and our teachers need to deliver their academic programs. And I believe, I fully trust this team. I fully trusted him from the first day that I met Phil, when no one else would touch our schools because we were in such chaos in this community, right? And we were able to work with Phil and start little by little, regaining trust, being fully transparent. We have spent hours in this room for School Building Committee meetings. Mr. Busey himself has spent hours with us hashing out different things. We've spent hours with RIDE hashing these things out. And I just want to make it very clear that my trust in this team is that they have my full trust all the way. They've been nothing but transparent. They've been nothing but honest with us from my perspective. And like I said, I'm going to let them speak. Clearly, Mr. Conti here has the bullseye on him for whatever reason. So I'll let him speak to whatever he feels the need to, but I just want to make sure that we keep our eye focused. $150 million academic school building was our charge, and that's what we're working to put together. So thank you.
I will just note from a schedule perspective, if the directive were to pursue additional studies for geothermal and bringing in additional consultants, that would be an impact to our project schedule. It would be a refocus of our design team and those resources to stop the current charge, which is, as we discussed earlier tonight, we are going out to bid. We are moving forward with finalizing those designs. So if that is the directive, I want to make it clear that that is going to impact our project schedule and the opening in the fall of 2027. But I will hand it to Phil to talk to some of the more technical data.
Thank you, Kate. Good evening, everyone. So I want to begin by saying that categorically, I will affirm that the data that we've been presenting is absolutely accurate and precise. There's a couple things that I want to correct from the beginning that may help some of this. The $17 million that is referenced in the estimate is not for 100% geothermal. It is for 100% of the HVAC system, which includes geothermal. Geothermal alone cannot handle the school. It does not have the entire ventilation component that is necessary for that. The basis of design is not 50% or 100%. It has been at approximately 40 wells, which has been our experience and Haley and Aldrich's experience of a building this size in this part of the country, that is going to be about 40 wells. The information that we provided Gilbane when they did their schematic design prior to the well being completed was around 40 wells at 900 feet, maybe 45 wells at 800 feet. That was close enough. We were comfortable with that assumption for Gilbane to use for pricing. So the estimating has always been consistent. Yes, at the end of the day, when the report was delivered, we could do it at about 30 wells. Okay, that's great. But the baseline has always been around 40 wells, whether it was 40 wells for a credit and as a deduct for value engineering, or whether it was 40 wells for the cost estimate. The Watertown High School, let's visit that for a second. It's for 720 students. It's over 200,000 square feet, over $200 million. That particular engineer decided to use geothermal because they are an urban school, completely different context, very limited in site, to drill the maximum that they could, which was about 14 wells. And that produced enough energy for them to use in their community spaces, which is the complete opposite of the approach that we have taken as a design team. They are consistently using their community spaces because it is an urban center. It is a community resource, that entire building. When we design for geothermal, we look for predictable and consistent loading, not necessarily use. For example, the classroom academic wings of a building, we absolutely know that from September through June, there's going to be 30 students in every room for 8 hours a day. We know what the loading is. We really don't care about use. For example, you may say you use the auditorium often. Do you use it often for 700 people? Do you use it often for 8 people? For us, those types of major spaces, gymnasiums, auditoriums, cafeterias, they do not have a consistent or predictable loading. Therefore, we choose to use a different system for those spaces. And we, during the life cycle analysis, allocated the geothermal to the academic core and instructed the Gilbane to figure about 40 to 45 wells. Yes, Watertown is projected to be net zero, but their EUI, their energy use index, is 25.
The only way they will get to zero is through a city-funded photovoltaic system of about 1.4 million kilowatts at a cost of about $4.5 to $5 million that the city is paying to put on that building. Our projection in our energy use consumption that Doral referenced, we are at 27.6. Working with SLAM, we feel that we will get to 25. And I would encourage everyone to dedicate their resources to looking at photovoltaic grants because the infrastructure is already there, and drive that EUI as low as possible. I also have one particular, I take exception to one particular statement in the email that Doral wrote. At the end of the email, he references a statement that says, also of note is the fact that Studio Jade's energy consumption summary now shows a first cost of $12,833,000 for the heat pump chiller system. That's $2.7 million under last December's quote. That statement is completely inaccurate because that consumption summary of $12,833,000 is not a dollar amount. The $12,833,000 is KBTUs per year. I get terribly frustrated when someone thinks that they are accurately looking at information that they are incorrect on. As much as I appreciate Mr. Beasley's involvement, participation, challenges, and encouragement, I would strongly suggest that if he has technical questions, that he feel comfortable enough to ask them, other than to present me my own document with language that says, Mr. Conte, this document is a total piece of garbage, which I sincerely do not appreciate. So, Tony is here. He can speak to this $2.8 million value engineering amount and how we arrived at that. I think that may answer another question that Doral had. Tony?
I'm not sure we need further clarity on that. I think what you've said is enough, Phil. I don't have any questions in this regard, but at least we have a response to certain understandings of information that you've published. And I just feel like it's a territory we don't want to really go down further. And I think we've sort of...
I would agree.
Got a good point here. You got anything? Go ahead.
Council President, I just need to feel like I have to say something because I've been involved in this from day one. I've been on the school building committee for the three years. I've been at just about every single meeting and attended them with Kate and everyone else. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert on geothermal, by no means. And Doral's been at just about all those meetings, just about every one. And I have a lot of respect that Doral took the effort to go to all those meetings, and he took a vested interest in this. So I'm not here to beat up on Doral. He has his opinion, and that's that. But what I'm here to say is that we've paid these consultants a lot of money to guide us down the right path. And I'm saying this for our taxpayers, so there's no doubt in their mind that we're getting a good product here. And they have been guiding us down the right path. We're not getting scammed. No one's pulling the wool over our eyes. And we've vetted every single decision with a company like Gilbane that is world-renowned, not only to be just honest, but to deliver excellent products. I'm very comfortable in their explanation on why this could not work. And we did vet it. We looked at everything to see if it could work. It wouldn't work, whether it was the money we were putting into it, what the return would be, and so forth and so on. There's no conspiracy, there's no cover-up. I trust Gilbane. Once again, no one's getting scammed, and I think I'm here to speak to the taxpayers that we're gonna get a good, great product at the end of the day. The voters have spoken. Whether you supported this or not, doesn't matter at this point. The voters spoke, and we're building a high school, and it's gonna be a great product at the end of the day. and I'm part of it, and I'm proud to be on that school building committee with other members that have been sitting here, and we pay close attention to every single decision that we make. So that's, I feel I had to say something like that.
Thank you, Jim.
Hi, sorry. I, as you started to speak, Phil, it all came back to me, all the options and the different cooling systems. We could kill the large spaces or we couldn't, right? It all was in my head. So I do feel like when we did decide about not pursuing geothermal, we were all in agreement that it wasn't a feasible option and we were going to go another way. And I'm sure I even said let's put solar on the roof comment, because I feel like I did say that, and looked right at Kate and said the same thing, let's get some grants, because we were set for that. I just want, because Doral is a very invested person in this process, and he pushes and pulls and wants things to be really great, I know his intent is for us to have the right high school at the right size and all of those things. I feel like he deserves his time to say that, and so I would want anyone to want that, but he is very invested. So I felt comfortable then about not pursuing geothermal. Am I right about the large space, the small spaces you present, right? Right, that's exactly what you said. And so I feel like we need to continue on, but I don't want someone who cares about what we create to feel like they can't keep pushing at the edges for better. And I appreciate your time, and I understand, I wouldn't want to be called professionally anything, a piece of garbage, because you are an experienced architect, right? Yes. And you're the principal of Studio Jade, are you not? Yes. Right? So, I mean, I can understand why you would be upset. I just think that we need to just keep figuring out how to get what Doral wants. He wants net zero, wants better energy usage. I think we all want that, do we not? Over here?
I have belief in the path that we're going, and I'm confident in that.
But do you like the idea of solar on the roof and all, like pursuing other?
I mean, we have already discussed all of this so much ad nauseum, and we just need to sort of. Yes, of course we all want that.
Okay.
I just want to say that out of respect, we have week after week been talking about respecting the residents' time and about moving swiftly through the agenda items. And out of respect for everyone here, we have been on this agenda item for 45 minutes and 50 minutes. And the people who are talking about this have come to every single meeting. Mm-hmm. I mean, Mr. President, are we moving to advise someone on this, or are we just
There's going to be no
discussing it?
action taken on this item.
So, okay.
If everyone is done with their piece as to the issues identified in this item, we can move on. Thank you for your time, Phil. Thank you, Doral. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Representative Gilbane. We're now going to move on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you all.
We're going to move next to public comment. If you haven't spoken already, we're affording you the opportunity to come on up. We just ask you identify yourself. We're going to limit you to 5 minutes.
Jim O'Neill, Wakefield. So the people that should hear what some of us have to say have all left. I want to thank Doral, because a lot of us give a lot of free hours and information to you that you've used indirectly to help this community. I'm Jim O'Neill from Wakefield. I'm very concerned here that the mission statement that I just heard is partially true. Can you imagine the taxpayers saying that, wait a minute, you had an opportunity to possibly save some money? Either a better way to do the bond offering or bank anticipation notes, heat, energy, and we didn't take it? You should be fired if you think that way. We should take every opportunity of what someone that has put the time in, that we could have saved money on this. And especially now, I brought it up to you time and time again, I think you have no clue what the cost of energy is for all these citizens and taxpayers at home. It is huge, the increase over last year, and it'll be huge again next year. The tax credits, the wind farms, the solar, it is incredibly expensive for those of you who own homes. And you just don't understand that. So now can you imagine these folks, if they wanted to vote on this bond again, with $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 increases in their electric bills, and you didn't give the time to possibly save that kind of money with this new high school, with the bond costs coming at them, you really should be fired. You know, you should resign. That's just leaving folks absolutely out in the cold and bewildered. And the great thing about what Doro presented, you don't have to kill whales, you don't have to destroy forests. It's one of the true ways of energy that's needed. So now I've spent 5 minutes, how much on that? 2.5 minutes just to let you know what a great citizen you have there, and the rest of us. I missed pizza again tonight, 10 o'clock at the Muse. I mean, this is incredible. But things you don't seem to realize. Let me just throw it at you here. South Road. No one has picked up the ball and wants to talk about modular or manufactured homes being part of that development, or Watson. Don't understand it. I just do not understand it. You're talking about incredible savings of housing and quality housing. Absolutely nuts. No one wants to throw that out there. Nobody probably understands that state of Rhode Island, with the tax, the budget that just passed, we're $13,000 per cap, per every individual in this state. Maine and New Hampshire, with 1.4 million population each, they're under 10 million. Something is wrong in this community. Just little things, facts I want to give you. How about the baby bond? Mr. Dios's baby bonds passed, I think, almost had 100% of the vote in the Senate and the House. Connecticut spent of their surplus dollars the last couple of years almost $400 million towards the baby bonds. Well, we put not a dollar towards it. This is incredible. So let me go to Mr. Wedgemont here. Hopefully, I had to wait for this group to leave. Give me a little extra time here. Back on June 9, when you expedited the Perry Rosso's effort here, the COVID extension for catastrophic events. When it came to Mr. Wedgemont's turn to address that particular issue, and these are all quotes, I have learned so much from Mr. Rosso. Well, Mr. Rosso is in the liquor and food business. He didn't teach you how to avoid the police, how to drink, how to do what you did behind the wheel of a car. He didn't teach you that kind of information. And if he had a chance to put analysis towards that, it would be awful. Something else you said, in quotes, you were ready to go testify, and I have got your back, Perry Rosso. The rest of you can go home, because obviously he and his sugar daddy are running the state. You don't need anybody else in this community. So this is absolutely nuts. A couple other things, and then I'll leave you all alone here. I was hopefully we could avoid this particular issue of elections coming up. Well, Rhode Island's elections, well, we still have another year and a few months to go. But there's an election going on in New York City coming up. And I bring this
All
up.
right, Jim, you are well over. I want to ask you that to
I
conclude.
waited 30 seconds. At least give me that.
Finish it up. Go ahead.
All right. Candidate Mandami has just gotten the endorsements of the NEA and the the United Federation of Teachers in New York. This is a disaster for this community, I believe, and the state. As a conservative Democrat, I am absolutely nuts that this communist, this Marxist, who calls himself a socialist Democrat, is even getting the potential possibility of being a mayor, but it's going to put all the cities and towns, especially Democrat areas, really in a predicament here. And you see it now with Hillary Clinton and the others,
All right, Jim.
Obama, who just don't want to quite endorse him. But you're going to be caught up in this particular situation, and I hope you're ready for it. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Jim.
So Jim mentioned manufactured homes, and so I think that was discussed at the planning board. Yes. Last
That's
week.
correct. We referred consideration of that to the planning board. It's under
So,
consideration.
I was speaking. So just one second. So it was discussed at the planning board. I think they're supposed to send something back to the council.
Okay,
Right?
but-
Am I right, Jim?
If you want to discuss that, you got to add it to the agenda.
No, let's,
I will
No,
leave,
that,
only
Rory,
because
that's not how
Mrs.
it, that's
only
not how it
because
works.
Mrs. Goddard
That-
doesn't know about modular and manufactured homes from us.
So I don't want to add it to the agenda. You don't need to add it to the agenda if only one member is speaking. If you all want to speak, I'd be happy to add it to the agenda. I was just trying to answer this, Mr. O'Neill's question.
And I answered it. And now we're at a point you want to add something, talk about something that's not on the agenda. You want to talk
I
about
don't
it?
want to add
it.
anything to the agenda.
Then let's move on. We're
Sure.
limited to one time.
Well,
I just wanted to correct
I announced
Patty.
it when I opened it up for the second time. If you hadn't
Okay.
spoken yet, you get the opportunity to come on up.
Okay,
Is
if
there anyone
you
here who
don't
hasn't
want to let
spoken?
me speak, I respect it.
Is there anyone in the audience here who hasn't spoken who wishes to speak? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on. Any comments from the council members before we move on?
Jim, I also heard from the EDC meeting that, and the planning board, that the cottage zoning has expired, that ordinance sunsetted, and we haven't taken it up. Jamie has already left, so could you?
I don't have that answer. I can get you the answer. I don't
So
know.
the cottage zoning ordinance was sunsetted and we didn't renew it, so I don't know what that means for the process. Do you know, Amy?
I believe the planning board is recommending that that be renewed. So yes, it's sunset and it wasn't renewed. That means it's no longer on the books. My understanding is that the planning board is recommending to the council that the council reinstate those regulations. But I don't know if they're also proposing changes. I haven't looked at that.
So how did it get missed that we did not renew
Let me
it
ask you a
before
legal
it
question, Amy.
sunsetted?
We're talking thoroughly about a topic that's on the agenda. Does that require a motion to add to the agenda?
Well, I would say council discussion is, I think if one person is speaking,
Well, now we have two.
yeah, so then you should add it to the agenda.
You asked me if we had
Why don't you
anything
just
to
make a
say.
motion to add it to the agenda?
But you asked if anyone had something to say, and so I asked to let Jim know that the cottage zoning ordinance had
And then you
sunsetted.
proceeded to ask further questions related to that topic, and here we are. More than one member talking about the topic. So if you want to add it, make a motion. Otherwise, we can ask for solicitor's report at the next meeting as it relates to
Well,
cottage zoning.
I was going to do that part, but then you wanted me to add it to the agenda, so I wanted to I had said, how does that happen? What do we do next? Can you let us know? Because clearly we don't want, cottage zoning is part of the affordable housing policies that we adopted, so we certainly did.
I'm going to make a
did it.
motion to add discussion of cottage zoning to the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion?
I will be voting against this agenda item.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
Nay. All right, it fails.
Point of order, Mr. President, can we move on to communications, items 11?
I'll make a motion that we continue communication item 11A to the next meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that passes. Moves us to communication 11B, an email dated June 24, 2025 from Peter DiStefano tendering his resignation from the planning board effective immediately.
I make a motion that we accept Peter DiStefano's resignation from the planning board, direct the town clerk to thank him for his service. I want to publicly recognize the role that Pete DiStefano has served on the planning board for a number of years. His voice and input is always valued by me, and I appreciate the perspective that he shares with the planning board.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We got a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, this meeting is over. See
Thank you,
next
South
time.
Kingstown.